The class bell rang. It was the first day of when your job is so difficult and stressful and nobody understands you that it's okay to be late sometimes. Class. The teacher stood in front of the room. The firefighter gulped. The EMT shuffled his notes anxiously. The brain surgeon prepared to take notes. All right, said the live streamer from the front of the class. Are we ready to get started? Or something like that. You understand the format. So Colbert? Nah, his ass is dead. It's over for him. Which, to be fair, he sucks, so, you know. Sorry, I just finished the granola. Still got, like, granola bits. My dad was really sad about it. It would be a dad. They fucking killed him. I'm telling you, man. Last year, we had Skibbity Biden. No cancellation. This year, we don't have Skibbity Biden. Cancellation. I watched the Syria video. Why was Vosh so mad at chat? Like, half the video was complaining about chat. You have poor listening skills. I was actually upset with K Comrade Robin Hood specifically. Chat was not the issue there. But it's okay. We like him. You know, he's not an enemy of the stream. As for President Donald Trump, a frequent target of Colbert's comedy, he said on Truth Social that, quote, I absolutely love that Colbert was, quote, fired. How nice. How fitting that his last act was to give a platform to Mamdani. Well, that wasn't his last episode, was it? Did they take a break after that? Last one that matters. Some of the reaction from the late night world. Jimmy Fallon. Seth Meyers, dude. Jimmy Kimmel. Andy Cohen. Dude, it really is where comedy goes to die. It really, truly is where comedy goes to die. It's all, like, unsalvageable slop. His last episode after coming back from break was him saying the Paramount settlement was a big fat bribe, which it was. So the insinuation then is that CBS canceled him at the Trump administration's behest. It seems they're alleging that over here at the Associated Press as well. Bosch, aren't you a talk show? No, I'm funny. It is shocking how unfunny these shows are, you know? You could, unironically, you could get, like, the average Zoomer up there and then just pitch, like, gay son thought daughter jokes to the audience for 30 minutes, and you would have a much better, like, laugh per capita reaction. I mean, was it Fallon or Kimmel? I mix up the Jimmys who had the Rizzler on. The Rizzler just mogged him, and Jimmy was, like, seething the entire time. It was Fallon? Okay. I feel like the is or isn't funny topic isn't really the point here. No, I'm like a spiritual enemy of late night television. I'm actually okay with oligarchs and the presidential administration colluding to remove them. I don't care why. I just hate them. The stream just started. You're being insufferable already. Oh, not my late night television. Oh, not Jimmy Fallon. I guess anyone but Jimmy Fallon. Please Take my life, not theirs. Oh! People like you did destroy their audience, so it makes sense. That is true. It's also the reason why Fallon despised the Rizzler. Yeah. The cultural relevance of late night television has plummeted since the when was that at its height? Like 1970s or something? I don't know. But even since the 90s, I mean, with the internet, there's just better shit to do late at night now. John Oliver can be pretty funny. That's true, but John Oliver is categorically different to these guys. Obviously, there are aesthetic similarities, and there's sort of like a similarity in framing as well. But he just isn't like these people. The point is not whether or not late night is good. It's about the Trump administration silencing political opposition. I totally forgot I'm on the left wing. You're right. I'm so sorry. I forgot. Everything that I said prior to this point in the stream, I had forgotten about all of that. And the choice of words was being dictated by like an inability to comprehend both of my points at once. That late night talk shows are horrible, but also that political censorship is bad. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for bringing me back. I was almost lost there. It's okay, we got you, King. Yeah, you always got me. No jokes allowed here. Maybe the late night shows really would be more your forte, you know? Fucking face. Next year will be our last season. It's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. They're actually getting rid of the Late Show. Wonder how much of it is ratings. There might be it might be a two birds with one stone thing. The Late Show CBS ratings. People do not like it on Google with the Google reviews. I can tell you that much. 1,670 episodes. Trying to see. One knowledgeable source tells The Hollywood Reporter that they did not believe any of the network late-night shows were meaningfully profitable anymore. That's kind of bullshit, right? Because the late night, that's one of the better ones. NBC's Tonight Show is the most popular of the programs on social platforms with 32.7 YouTubes. Doesn't really matter. All late night shows are a shadow of their peaks in terms of linear TV ratings. Why does it scroll up like that? Nielsen data for Live Plus 7. Colbert, 2.47 million viewers. Kimmel, 1.75. Fallon, 1.25. Mayors, 949. Huh. It's crazy, man. It is insane that, like, Mr. Beast has 20 or 30 times the cultural footprint as the largest late night talk show. My only memory of late night TV since was when I was a kid. Yeah, well, late night TV is like everything that we talk about on this stream with regard to the media, like news media, all of it applies to late night talk shows as well, because they're operated by the same companies and they're held to the same restrictions, and they are everything they say is run past the same censors, maybe to a slightly like lesser extent, but fundamentally the same problems are there. You're never going to get anything genuinely subversive or cutting or challenging in these formats. Certainly not anymore. When the companies that host them are completely captured. Except isn't John Oliver controlled by HBO? That's different. That's not fucking NBC or whatever. HBO makes entertainment, you know? Is Jon Stewart more independent? He seems to get away with saying a lot. I don't know. Didn't they cancel his Apple TV show or something? He's on more of a backbench, you know? It's not like he's on one of the like mainline daily programs. He's semi-retired, you know? Then he moved back to the Daily Show every Monday. Probably because the ratings were flagging, I imagine. HBO is owned by Warner, same who owns CNN. Sure, but they're going to give like different expectations and requirements to different like just like HBO. What's also on HBO? I don't know. Game of Thrones. Like that doesn't mean you could show tits on CNN, right? Like there are going to be different expectations for the different branches of the parent company. But yeah, at the end of the day, pretty much all media is controlled by like 5 people. So I wonder if Colbert would go back to his sharper comedic style if he went back to the Daily Show. Nah, dude. I'm sorry. Like liberalism is just dead. It's been dead for years now. When was the last time there was anything like of cultural import with regard to political commentary produced by a liberal? The most we get from the liberals is a half-assed implementation of what actual lefties are doing. You know, they can be better versions of themselves, but you're not going to get the same kind of subversive, at least back during the Bush days, you know, 2005, 2006 or whatever. You could have genuinely subversive media being made by liberals because the dynamic was different back then, you know? That was neoliberalism or perhaps liberalism versus neoconservatism. Now it's, you know, fascism versus the rest of us. I think John Oliver's a lefty too. Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why his show is actually good, if you can stomach the humor. I can't. Well, that's fair. You think Jon Stewart is a lefty? No, I think Jon Stewart is a egotist. I think that Jon Stewart is a full of himself liberal who has better ideas than most liberals. He's brighter and probably more altruistic and probably more engaged than most liberals, but I think at the end of the day he has this underlying arrogance that I think a lot of older people, it's not even a liberal thing, but a lot of older people have, where they've been politically relevant for a long time, where they get set in their ways, and they get kind of oppositional to anybody who emerges who's more to the left of them, you know? God, that March to Restore Sanity stuff. Also, the stuff that he said about Trump. Um, yeah, he said a few things. I don't know. I feel there is an underlying smarminess. I don't think he's a bad guy. He's spoken out against the war in Gaza, calls out the Dem establishment all the time. Yeah, I've seen. I know.
Big news from the world of late night stunned a lot of people.
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert came on his show, Open, last night and said, it's over. Our last show is going to be in May of next year, so you still have some time with him. But he learned on Wednesday night, according to reporting, that his show would be canceled, that his contract would not be renewed. Obviously, the reason given by Paramount was that it just didn't make financial sense to have these shows anymore. But obviously, hanging over all of this is the settlement that Paramount made over the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris last year, and all the pressure, perhaps, from the Trump administration felt by Sherry Redstone, who runs Paramount, as she seeks a FCC-approved merger with Skydance.
Yeah, you know, the economics of the late night shows just didn't make the sense that it's made for the past 50
It's not the financials. It's very clearly motivated by Trump.
years.
Show called that settlement on the 60 Minutes interview a bribe. He was very critical on the air of Paramount, and then about 48 hours later, you have this decision coming down that his show would be canceled.
Yeah, I will say also, though, just the media world is changing dramatically.
Yeah.
And, you know, yesterday, of course, I was working a good part of the day, which everybody knows that's code for trying to find what dogs we bet on when we do our off-track betting.
Right. That's work. Hey, that's work.
Pilgrimage. Yeah, that is hard work. When we do our Saturday off-track betting pilgrimage. It's still in Times Square, right? And so, the office. So, but then, you know, I'd been working, had not seen the British Open, not seen the Open, said I want to see the highlights. This is going
What the fuck is he talking about?
very of golf, sort of, you know, crushed down to about 15, 20 minutes.
Joe Biden's favorite show, everybody.
Breaking news, CBS is canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Colbert just making the shocking announcement at his show taping. Now, it's unclear why the show is canceled, but it comes after Colbert spoke out against his parent company, Paramount's $16 million settlement with Trump over the editing of a 60 Minutes interview. In fact, here's what Colbert said just a few days ago.
The CNN coverage is immediately more sympathetic than Joe Scarborough's.
Now, I believe
He has a
this
mustache
kind
now?
of complicated financial
Whoa,
settlement.
I can't show this. Hold on, buddy.
And now, hearing that show is canceled, Brian Stelter's out front. I mean, Brian, what more are you learning about what is, frankly, a stunning announcement? When we were talking about it, just found out about it here in this commercial break, I said, wait, what? What just happened?
It really doesn't make any sense. From the normal business logic of television goes like this. Stephen Colbert is the highest rated program in late night television. He beats his competitors. He's been going at it for 10 years, and frankly, he's been on a hot streak lately. So by the business logic of television, normally he would be in a very safe spot. However, CBS says this is a financial decision given the difficulties with the entire late night sector. And there is some truth to that explanation. I reported a couple years ago about the Late Late Show ending with James Corden because it wasn't profitable anymore. So there might be some rationale to this CBS announcement. But almost everybody, upon hearing about this, is connecting it to the Paramount settlement from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely. How's Fox talking about it?
All right, major news tonight for the world of television. CBS and Paramount just announced that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert will end next May, and there will be no replacement for him. The Late Show will be over forever. Congratulations, Greg Gutfeld. Now, Paramount says this is a quote.
Must feel great for these guys, huh? Probably been pushing for this for a long time. I hope liberals learn a lesson from this, that you can be as smarmy as you want, but at the end of the day, like, your ability to control media and deliver your message kind of comes down to whether or not you have the consent of the people who own the company that you broadcast from. And if you don't, that's it. Fox News goblins can do whatever the fuck they want for as long as they want. They're evil, you know, they're making mischief. It doesn't matter because the network is evil and they like evil. Meanwhile, over in, you know, I mean, essentially anything, MSNBC, NBC, CNN, ABC, right? At the end of the day, like, the buck stops with some powerful dipshit far-right oligarch who just creates controlled opposition because there's a media there, right? There's a market there.
Purely financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night, which is true because...
Why did Tucker get fired? Personal beef with Murdoch. Also, liabilities concerning some statements made. It was a legal liability thing. It had nothing to do with, like, distaste for his positions. Apart from a personal beef, I suppose.
Gutfeld is destroying all of them in the ratings. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. I have been saying this, that all of these shows, Joe, they're not funny. They're officially on cancellation watch. True. They have become so...
Unlike Gutfeld, who's hysterical, by the way.
Vile and partisan, that they're not... The one thing you want out of a comedian is funny. Jon Stewart has made fun of me, and I laugh. I've laughed. Bill Maher's done the same thing. I've laughed, too. I like a good joke. I don't care if I'm the butt of the joke. These guys aren't funny, ever. It's awful. And they chased everybody away.
Well, you look at tonight, for example, Sean, and Stephen Colbert's primary guest, not the third guest, not the guy that's on after midnight. The first guest, the featured guest, is Adam Schiff, Senator, California. So you think back to the days of Johnny Carson, and you think of Rickles, or you think of Burt Reynolds, or you think of Sinatra, or Buddy Hackett, or any major Hollywood star. They were the featured guests. Now, with this guy, Stephen Colbert, it's Cory Booker, it's Zoran Mamdani, it's AOC, it's Jake Tapper, who lives to be on this show, or Nicole Wallace, or Chris Hayes, or name your MSNBC host who loves to be on Colbert. So it's no longer entertainment at this point. It's basically MSNBC, CNN, C-SPAN at night. And to your point, it just ain't funny when you don't have funny people on there and all they do is talk about how horrible Donald Trump is and how Democrats want to save democracy. It's a joke.
You know,
he is correct, actually. It does piss me off, and Jon Stewart does this too. It does piss me off how much, like, milquetoast liberal comedians hide behind being comedians. Like, you're political commentators, and you should act like it. Stop, like, playing the field. Stop trying not to rock the boat. You are a politically partisan activist. You should act like that. It's very frustrating because, like, Jon Stewart did this too when he had this beef back during his show where he beefed with Fox News, and he was like, well, I'm not a political commentator, I'm a comedian, I run right before, like, Beavis and Butthead, I shouldn't be held to the same standards, which is fucking bullshit, okay? I have always said that's fucking bullshit, okay? There's a difference between the credence you give somebody who's, like, obviously not trying to be a, Associated Press, NPR style, 100% facts, nonpartisan, not everybody's trying to be Wikipedia, and I get that, but you have to accept the fact that you're on a side of the playing field. You can't, you stop dipping your toe in the pool, I hate that shit. Bill Burr did that too, which was a bit disappointing. I don't understand why they do it. How do they benefit? In any way, how do they benefit from that? Nobody buys it, right? Nobody's watching Jon Stewart or Bill Burr and going, oh, these guys aren't liberals. These guys aren't lefties, These guys are nonpartisan comedians who are just expressing their views independent of any... Like, quit, don't be a fucking pussy. It's not like conservatives are watching your shit anyway, okay? I don't think it's a large part of the audience, Miss Genderlin. I don't think that at all. I don't think conservatives are watching that shit. And if they are, then I think they should be called out directly because the purpose of the show is to move people to the left. That's what John Oliver's doing, right? I mean, no one... Does anyone really think, like, the John Oliver show is about comedy? Comedy is the... If you care for it, it's the honey that goes with the medicine,
The funny thing is, why wouldn't Johnny Carson... Jay Leno went for the joke. He didn't care. He wasn't partisan. Johnny Carson let everybody else be the star because he ended up getting the credit with massive ratings. They went for funny. They didn't go for a political agenda. And if they actually did give any indication, they were more in touch with the American people than any of these guys are.
Oh, sure. Carson, like, almost never went political. And when he did, it ended up being a big deal. But he would do it in a way that wasn't as nasty and as partisan and as the way Colbert speaks about Trump or Kimmel, for that matter, or Seth Meyers. They're all the same. And that's a problem when every...
It's funny because John Oliver also absurdly says he's primarily a comedian. Yeah, I just think it's bullshit. This is the reason why they're winning. Okay? Because when right-wing pundits are just like, yeah, I'm right-wing and I want you to worship Trump. Meanwhile, left-wing pundits are like, no, left-wing, I'd say my views are all over the place. I mean, I make jokes about Trump, but it's really just because he's a funny guy. And you're like, why are you being such a fucking pussy?
late night show outside of a guy named Greg Gutfeld does the same material every night in terms of just basically bashing Trump. And I spoke about Greg Gutfeld. He is beating right now Colbert.
John Oliver does it out of humility. We don't need humility right now, okay?
By nearly 1 million viewers a night, with a fraction of the resources that Colbert has over at CBS.
Yeah,
so when they say it's a financial decision, that's true.
200 staff members. I mean,
yeah,
I can't even imagine. I'd have to ask my producer. I don't think we have, what, 15 people? And then if you could include control room people, 30? You know, and they're all great, by the way. The best in the business, by far. Well, I don't know. You're going to have
Remember during the Kamala campaign, they were having trouble finding anyone to bring her on for podcasts because their host didn't want to be political? I mean, maybe, but that's because Kamala Harris's team were fucking pussies who don't know how online politics works. So they were going on. They wanted to go on. What was that woman show? The show for women that she went on where they spent $1 million recreating a studio? Not The View. Call Me Daddy, that one. Yeah. Should have been on Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan and shit. Yeah, Kamala was the one who didn't want to be political. But it is true that there are a lot of, like, lib media pundits who want to just dance on the center line and get their bag, but don't want to commit to any position to the point where it might, like, you know, hurt their demographics. People on the right are willing to play ball. People on the left aren't. Well, liberals aren't.
FoxNation.com and watch Punchlines and Patriots, and you'll have to determine if I have any...
If she'd gone on Joe Rogan, it would have been a hostile interview, which she would fumble. Yeah, that's her fault. Any politician who couldn't handle Joe Rogan doesn't deserve to be president from the left. Mamdani could handle Joe Rogan. Bernie's handled Joe Rogan twice. That's Kamala's fault.
As a late-night comic, because I did my stand-up.
I think... Well, sure. I mean, Fela, you know, you carry him every time during these shows, and Jimmy should be very thankful for you for that.
It's not exactly the way it works.
Those are great. You played a straight man, and Fela played. It's like Abbott and Costello. Okay. I get it completely. But overall, yeah, we can use a little bit more
Costello.
of that.
I know what that means. No, well, it's actually more than that. I do my set. He does his set. Then we do Q&A from the audience. But
there's also some envy from these guys because every single right-wing pundit at some point flunked out of Hollywood. Like literally all of them. They all had aspirations of being a talk show host or an actor or a screenwriter or something. And they're bad at it, so they flunked out, and they got really, like, embittered against Hollywood, and that's why they ended up joining the right, basically. So many Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Hannity to an extent. But it probably does frustrate them a little bit that they're, like, locked forever in the on the right-wing camp. Meanwhile, late-night talk show hosts get the privilege of being unambiguously liberal, but they get to sort of pretend that they're not. I don't think that's a fair criticism from the part of the right-wing pundits. I just think that it probably, you know, irks them a little bit.
You know, a lot of what's happening in the news is you just can't make it all up. And I made this observation during my set, and I just started talking about when I started in talk radio way back in the day, I never thought I'd be talking about this. I never thought I'd be talking about that. I never thought that, you know...
Here's the Gutfeld N-word video. Why the fuck would I want to watch Gutfeld saying the N-word? I can do that at home. Also, no shit he says the N-word. These people are all extremely racist. Gutfeld's horrible.
this would be a topic for discussion, but it seemed to get a good reaction. The people in Clearwater were awesome, and we're going to do one makeup show soon. We're going to announce a show in Southeast Florida. Anyway, Joe Concha, we
Very
appreciate
nice.
it. Thank you, sir. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
Fuck you. They have been posting. Huge props to Fox News, by the way, for being the only major American news channel to get big numbers on their YouTube channel as well. You don't see that from the other one. MSNBC, it's their YouTube channel might as well be dead. You know, CBS, ABC, nothing compares to Fox News. They get way more numbers, way bigger numbers. State propaganda? Nope, because they were getting it before Trump took office. How many are bots? No more than the other channels. It's because they put more effort into it. You know, CNN just stops uploading past like 8 p.m. It's crazy. Do they? Wow. Pretty sure. Day ago, 23 hours ago, 22 hours ago, 20, 19, 10. There's an 8-hour window where they don't upload. Why? You can't schedule video uploads overnight? That's like it's CNN. You kidding me? These views, man. Fox News, those are some views, you know? Reliably in the 6-digit view count in less than 24 hours. Way more posting. Let's say much better thumbnails, too. These thumbnails are very boring, very corporate. Whereas the Fox News thumbnails, they still have the bottom left. They still have the channel icon, you know, it's still Fox News, but I think these are punchier thumbnail choices for the most part. CNN just relies on the classic, like, split face, you know, over and over. They just take an image. Liberals are sadly sauceless. Well, CNN isn't really liberal, but... Oh, that's true. The CNN videos are like, usually in the ballpark of like 10 minutes, more or less, sometimes more, sometimes less. But the Fox News videos are usually a tight 5. At least they tend to be. Much more appealing. Hey, look, here's a 3-minute and 8-second one.
CBS just canceled the late night with Stephen Colbert. Just days after Colbert took a
The typical MAGA probably has a much more online personality. Demographically, that's just not true, though. The younger you get, the more likely you are to be left-leaning. And the younger you are, the more likely you are to use the internet.
at his own network for settling with Trump. Listen.
This kind of complicated financial settlement with
Stop.
a sitting government official.
It's copyright.
Stephen Colbert.
So, Clay, is Gutfeld now officially
Trump
the king of late night?
God, this is probably a really tough story for you to have to do to give Gutfeld praise. I know of all the things that you could be doing on the show, this is probably not the peak of your choice.
Pains me.
I bet that CNN or MSNBC hires this guy and tries to put him up against Gutfeld head-to-head, and guess what's going to happen? Gutfeld is going to crush him even worse because he's not funny. Look, the goal of late-night television for my entire life, when we were growing up, he took over David Letterman's show. David Letterman made fun of everybody equally. Everybody liked Letterman. Everybody liked Leno, Johnny Carson. All of these shows combined to unite everybody, Democrats, Republicans, Independents.
Oh,
He went woke, and he destroyed the entire...
It's crazy how the conservative mythos is that up until more or less when they became politically active, everything was totally bipartisan and politically neutral. And that at some point after the person talking to you became politically active, that's when everything got partisan. That's when all the divisions happened. Just an incredible coincidence that happened right at the same time as you became old enough and aware enough to recognize the divisions.
Late night industry because he got ratings. Everybody else chased him. And now none of them have audiences because it's not comedy anymore. And here's a question for everybody out there watching, because I genuinely mean this. Is there any business or any show that has gone woke and actually it has made sense from a business imperative? NBA, crashed ratings. Bud Light, crashed market share. You just run through the entire litany of brands that decided to go fundamentally anti-Trump. Colbert's the latest. They all failed.
That's it. It's Bud Light, NBA, and Stephen Colbert, who last year decided to go anti-Trump, you know? Colbert was so apolitical back when he was on The Daily Show. When he and Jon Stewart were like huge, you know? And with the Colbert Report, that apolitical program, some might even say conservative leaning, but people like that. I'm telling you, man, all of these conservative media guys, they all have a chip on their shoulder over Hollywood because they all wish they had Colbert's job. They don't want to have to, like, exclusively spend their time with other lunatic psycho right-wingers. They want to go to the cool Hollywood parties. They're fully aware of the fact that, like, unless you're very wealthy and connected, if you're a right-wing pundit weirdo who works at Fox News, you're not getting in with, like, the cool Hollywood celebrity parties. You're just not. Nobody likes you. And they hate that. They resent the fact that they get ostracized and branded in that way when their liberal peers get to, you know, get to go. Just have a chip on their shoulder, man. Anyway. Look, I don't like Stephen Colbert that much, and I don't like The Tonight Show at all. But it's obviously like it's obviously targeted political censorship. You know, it's not good. I think it's bad when fascists censor opposition, even when the opposition is unfunny. So hopefully this will radicalize some libs. I don't know. Do you think these people would grift to the left if it meant they could be in Colbert's position? If they were able to? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, a lot of these people don't really believe in anything. And a lot of people who are liberal, you know, talk show hosts or cultural, you know, figures of import are not, like, authentically liberal, okay? A lot of these people are Machiavellian psychopaths who would do anything to, you know, get in at the freak-offs. The goal is to construct a system where the Machiavellian psychopaths benefit most from being on our side. I don't believe that of Colbert, though. No. No, I don't either. I don't believe that of Colbert. I think that Colbert is authentically liberal, even if I find him annoying. Jimmy Kimmel might not be liberal. I think that Jimmy Kimmel would kill a baby with his hands if he knew it would get him better ratings. Like on camera, I mean. Like for a show. Like twisting, you know? Then why are they doing Manosphere podcasts instead of liberal stuff? Because liberals are very, very, very bad at taking advantage of authentic, decentralized online political media, which is the reason why Kamala Harris went on shows like The View or Call Me Daddy, right? Whereas Trump went on Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, which have exponentially more viewers, you know? Liberals, because they adhere to the value of civility politics and they believe in institutions. God, the Democratic Party thinks that people watch The View. The Democratic Party, the Democratic Party thinks that it matters if you do an interview on NBC. You know, like Jesus. Call her daddy. People already call you daddy. Okay, okay. I'm talking about the host, not the guest. Well, the hosts are responding to market forces, you know? If liberals are mostly watching bullshit, boring institutional slop like the Tonight Show. Why the fuck would, what market is there to be like a liberal? Someone linked it earlier, like Midas Touch gets good views. Not to say that they're slop or anything. I think they make good content. Also, if you're a liberal, like if you're a liberal and you earnestly, authentically believe in liberal values, you can't really build an online cult the same way that the right wing can. The right wing, by virtue of them all being evil, they just have fewer rules they have to follow when it comes to building up their media empire. Like if you're on the right, you can sell people unregulated supplements. You can rope people in with predatory subscription schemes. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're on the right, I mean, but if you're a liberal, kind of limited. Liberalism's dead, man. Speaking of, wouldn't it be nice to live in a country where there were consequences to an attempted coup? Police searched the home of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, who was ordered to wear an electronic ankle tag. That's so fucking funny, dude. Imagine being the president and you get a knock on the door. The police kick your door down. They're like, here's your ankle tag, bitch. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm really tired. It took me a while to process that. The Supreme Court alleged Bolsonaro and his son tried to lobby Trump to intervene in a criminal case against him. Remember when Trump said he was placing tariffs on Brazil because of the unfair persecution of Bolsonaro? Trump just made it worse for Bolsonaro. Every time Trump tweets about Brazil, they twist Jair Bolsonaro's nuts one more 360-degree rotation, okay? They've got it in a clamp. Every time he mentions Brazil, they go...
Falei na coletiva ontem, caso tivesse o passaporte, pediria uma audiência para o presidente Donald Trump, pediria, tá? E ele concedendo ia conversar sobre questões do Brasil. Agora, todos os países que sofreram algum tipo de taxação foram para negociação. O Lula até hoje não conversou com o Trump.
Just a funny little tidbit there. It's just nice to imagine, like in a good country, you realize that this or worse would have been done to Trump, right? He did, you know, lead an insurrection against the United States. Someone tried to marry their AI companion. The certificate got denied. I'm not clicking on threads.com. I don't believe in that app. Isn't South Korea also going hard against their weird takeover thing? Yeah, I think that there's been a very superficial pushback against the excesses of fascism and of fascist takeovers, but unfortunately, I have yet to see a meaningful, like, global ideological push. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see an overwhelming pushback. So Canada, I think, is the exception, because in Canada right now, my understanding is that 40% of their homes are burning American flags for warmth in the cool nights, you know, further north. But for the most part, all around the world, it seems like people are more anti-Trump and what he's similar to. curious in your thoughts about FD Signifier using you as an example of a bad lefty influencer in his recent video about Bernie. Nice drama bait. I think that FD Signifier uses me as an example for lots of things. He probably uses like, is like every video? God willing, one of these days somebody will educate him on black issues. They'll teach him how bad it makes him look to keep a white man's name in his mouth all the time. Stay woke. Did you ever make it over to the church? Nah, I haven't gone yet. How do you feel about this tier list? Tier list for what? Just like the city or the skyline? What is the tier list for? Also, I haven't been to this many cities. I've been to maybe like 10 major American cities. S tier is Seattle, Portland, Chicago, Denver, NYC. I haven't been to Denver or Chicago. I would be really surprised if Portland belonged here, though. Maybe. Honestly, I'd be surprised if... Okay, can we be real? NYC should be in a tier of its own. I don't think Seattle and NYC compare. As somebody who's spent a week in NYC and 5 years in Seattle, these two... All I know for sure is that these two should not be in the same tier. I just don't think that's true. I don't think Vegas is that bad. Dog, Vegas sucks. Nobody who lives in Vegas goes to the Strip, you know? Like, and outside of the Strip, Las Vegas is nothing. What are they, yeah, the F tier. Boston, Bakersfield, El Paso, Raleigh, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Virginia Beach, Richmond, Oakland, Louisville, Cleveland, San Diego, Toledo, Newark, Tulsa. You know what? I'm going to stand up. San Diego is not that bad. I understand that in order to get anywhere within San Diego, you have to drive on a freeway between two mountains to get from like one section to another. San Diego is really nice. This is just not true. San Diego is significantly nicer than Los Angeles, I'll tell you that much. Housing in San Diego is worse than all the West Coast. Okay, I can't speak to the housing market. I'm just saying, you know, I've been there enough times to know. They have Philly as A tier. That could be true, depending on what you value. Phoenix is an A tier? Okay. All right. Yeah, if you like getting fucking what's that the movie Thunderbirds? If you like the moment you step outside in the summer, you get reduced to a fucking ash shadow on the asphalt behind you, you know? No, I don't think so. Where is Los Angeles? Is this LA right here next to Scottsdale, between Scottsdale and Fargo? I can't tell. I don't really remember what is this LA? Why aren't there labels? They put it in B tier. Did I miss it? Oh, there it is. Because it's in white. They put the text in white. That's ridiculous. B tier LA, F tier San Diego. This is like a laughable. This is laughable. Phoenix A tier, LA B tier, San Diego F tier. Get him out of here. Come on. I know you don't like LA, but it's pretty nice compared to like 99% of places in this country. But it's not, though. Look, I grew up in the nice part, too. There are like unattainably expensive suburbs in LA that are nice, albeit like really detached from society. But if you just want to like live in a neighborhood with cool stuff to do in it. I don't know. You have to be really, really wealthy. I just know I don't like LA. Most of it is this squalid, smelly. I don't like it. It's a mess. Where's San Francisco? I don't know, but San Francisco is an A-tier city with the potential to be an S+ rivaling NYC city. If they just opened up the zoning laws, like really opened them up, and they started building like it was the late 19th century over there, they could it could become an S+ city. The West Coast of the United States should contain 3 billion people, and I'm not joking, okay? That should be our Tokyo. You know how Tokyo is like an infinitely large city that contains half the population of Japan? The West Coast of the United States has the best weather in the world. Nothing else even comes close. It's God's country. It's a perfectly fertile, verdant land. It should contain 3 billion human beings. It's Eden. The Mormons were cooking with that one. Until the megaquake hits. Hey, listen, Tokyo's massive and it's on a fault line. China's name for the United States is literally beautiful country. No shit. China's like sweaty as fuck. Have you heard of Beijing summers? Then you take a boat across and you reach California, where the weather is perfect 365 days a year. It's perfect. Yeah, but don't you want to get out of the city sometimes? Fuck you. People like New York City. How often do people drive out of New York City for an hour and a half to go to a forest? You've got Central Park, okay? Listen, the West Coast of the United States has tons and tons and tons of federal, of national reserves. You know, federal land, beautiful forests, hiking paths, okay? Just build around it. Yeah, for now, for now. Also, you can build a big sprawling city, but still have it be like, you know, pretty green and verdant, right? Again, I keep going back to this example, but like if you look at Tokyo from the sky, it's got there are plenty of green patches. It's really hilly terrain, which a lot of the West Coast is. You know, there are plenty of places you can go if you want to like go on a walk. Aren't the Canadian wildfires ruining the experience? Well, obviously we should stop climate change. But also, if you would refuse to live in paradise because once or twice a year the air gets choked with smog, you're a pussy. Fine, you can live in Phoenix then, all right? Where there's no wildfire smoke because the fucking environment is so inhospitable, nothing grows there anyway. Nothing even catches on fire. Sure, go. Live in Phoenix, okay? Where the sun is so hot, things don't even combust, they just atomize. I went here, I think. Yeah, I went here. It was pretty cool. Neat. No, I have not been to Vancouver. All right, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Vancouver, Washington is a shithole. That is true. Vancouver's right next to you. You think I want to deal with customs coming back to the United States right now? Also, lots of things are right next to me. I bet you're right next to a very difficult hiking trail you haven't gone on. What's the matter, fatty? You afraid of tripping and falling and rolling all the way back down the hill? Shut the fuck up.
Jeffrey Epstein now threatening to derail Trump's agenda. On Capitol Hill tonight, Epstein is front and center. Several Republican holdouts are saying they will not move forward on a vote on Trump's DOJ cuts unless they get Epstein too. And House Speaker Mike Johnson's back is up against the wall because the House faces a Friday deadline at midnight. So we're counting down here to act on Trump's cuts to the government funding package. And GOP holdouts say that their constituents are the ones that are demanding answers on Jeffrey Epstein, as MAGA media is not letting up.
Trump has done a F minus. I mean, my God, it's worse than an F. I mean, it's like a 0 on the Streisand affecting and not having clarity and flip-flopping back and forth. It's just been horrifying.
Trump did this to himself. And it's not even about, let's say, Epstein hooking him up with some hot 20-year-old.
That's not how I would construct a sentence in this situation. Do you think he had to catch himself there when he said 20? Like he was about to say 15 or something? I think he was about to say 15 or 16. He was going to do the, like, ephebophilia thing.
40 years ago. It's the fact that he came out and insulted his base. And said it was a hoax. And so the whole thing is just crazy, and I don't want to get in all of it now. We'll get into it coming up, but it's just going to get worse.
That's the real crime, by the way. That's the real crime. It's not the, you know, close confidant of the world's most notorious pedophile sex trafficker. It's actually that he was rude to his fans. Hey, people hit me with that all the time. He looks like if Ryan Gosling became MAGA. I kind of see where you're coming at. I kind of get it, you know. I'm telling you, man, he wanted to say 16 or 15 at first.
All right. The man you heard speaking right there at the end was someone who spent time in jail because of his role leading up to January 6th. All right. So the people who are saying this aren't people who were on the fence about Trump. These are the people who vaulted Trump back to the White House, like Nick Fuentes, the white nationalist whom Trump has hosted at Mar-a-Lago.
And now he says, if you're not on board with...
How does he still look this young? I swear to God, I haven't seen Nick's face in like a year or more. I thought he had a beard. I guess he doesn't anymore. Is he a vampire? Isn't he like 25? I don't, maybe it's because I'm now Unk, but I feel like in my head, he always looks like a kid now. Maybe he doesn't, maybe objectively he doesn't, but I don't know. He's also suit-mogging most of the people who we see on the stream. So, I mean, credit to that, I guess.
The Epstein cover-up. Oh, I don't want your support. You're a weakling.
Good tie roll. You know, good dimple.
You. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. We are going to look...
Dude, he's cliff notesing what I've been saying about you guys and also Stephen Colbert over the past hour and a half, man. He's aping my bit.
Back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history.
That's not really surprising, by the way. Nick Fuentes has been distinguishing his community from the mainstream MAGA one for a while with talk like this. It's not novel, you know?
I mean, to think that those words came out of his mouth, they're going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. I mean,
He said this before. He said this every time Trump backs, like, Israel. He said that the MAGA movement's Jewish, you know, like, it's not that novel, really.
Are people who made their names on the MAGA movement, inside the MAGA movement, by support of Trump. And their attacks are heard by millions and millions. And then there's Elon Musk, who's also stepping up his calls for more information. Today, he posted this. Where is phase 2?
Is it because Trump isn't ideologically a Nazi like he wants? No, it's because Nick Fuentes wants, like, followers and money. Like everybody else on the right wing in this space, the goal is to maximize your audience retention. It's not actually about changing the world. If Nick Fuentes wanted to change the world and make it more Nazi-esque, he would have done what Charlie Kirk did, which is Charlie Kirk is definitely a Nazi, but he swallows his pride and goes along with whatever the movement demands of him because it gives him the opportunity to continue to influence it in the future. Nick Fuentes did the opposite. He said, you know, performatively distanced himself from it as a way of distinguishing himself. Funnily enough, Alex Jones has done the same thing multiple times. There was a while where Alex Jones very performatively distanced himself from Trump after Jan 6, not because he has an issue with Jan 6, like, morally, but because he didn't want the success of his brand to get shackled to, you know, potentially everything that was about to come back and boomerang and hit Trump. Is he really thinking that far? Yeah, these people are shrewd businessmen, of course. That's like the main, it's the main point of the job. Yeah.
And alongside that was a picture of the Epstein files, phase 1. Now, the White House is doing all that it can to make this story go away. In fact, the administration is completely trying to change the subject. They'd rather talk about Trump's swollen ankles, for God's sake. And the Attorney General today went to Alcatraz.
You guys want to see that Wall Street Journal article? I actually haven't read it myself. Is it Unk or Unk? It's Unk. Oh, when you Google Wall Street Journal Epstein, you see the highly cited note next to the relevant article. I had a gifted link to this earlier, but it's not working anymore. That's annoying. Can I JavaScript my way around this? No, I can't. Can somebody gifted article link? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I had one earlier, but it stopped working. This one hurt. This one hurt enough that JD Vance took to Twitter and essentially called the article bullshit, which is funny because again, it's basically all like Streisand effect shit, you know. So I think for the most part they've been trying to enforce radio silence. His tweet didn't go over that well either. Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullshit. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is this letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Okay. Oh, man. It was Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, and Ghislaine Maxwell was preparing a special gift to mark the occasion. She turned to Epstein's family and friends. One of them was Donald Trump. Maxwell collected letters from Trump and dozens of Epstein's other associates for a 2003 birthday album, according to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Pages from the leather-bound album, assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006, are among the documents examined by the Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed their pages. It's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. Wouldn't surprise me if they weren't. The president's past relationship with Epstein is at a sensitive moment. The Justice Department documents, the so-called Epstein files, and who or what is in them are at the center of a storm consuming the Trump administration. On Wednesday, after angry comments about how the files are a hoax created by Democrats, Trump lashed out at his own supporters for refusing to let the matter go. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy, like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. So this is all very like American Psycho stuff, you know, like New York City evil corporate freak stuff, you know? Very Wolf of Wall Street. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." In an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story, he said. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women, he said. It's not my language. It's not my words. He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published an article. I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else, he said. Allegations that Epstein had been sexually abusing girls became public in 2006, and he was arrested that year. Epstein died in 2019 in jail. I've heard of this. After he was arrested a second time and charged with sex trafficking conspiracy. Justice Department officials didn't respond to requests for comments or address questions about whether the Trump page and other pages of the birthday album were part of the agency's recent documents review. The FBI declined to comment. The existence of the album and the contents of the birthday letter haven't previously been reported. The album had poems, photos, and greetings from business people, academics, Epstein's former girlfriends, and childhood pals, according to the documents reviewed by the Journal and people familiar with them. It really is a banality of evil thing, right? The idea of getting, like, a bunch of thoughtful birthday letters for the 50th birthday of a pedophile sex trafficker. It's just such a weird... What do you get for the man who has everything, you know? But in a way it's kind of fitting because, you know, again, Epstein's job was power brokering, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense that like a big flex to him would be like, oh yeah, here's birthday letters from like 20 different presidents and prime ministers, a bunch of prominent academics and scientists. Yeah, here's everyone important and powerful in the world, wishing you a happy 50th, you know? Speaking of, among those who submitted letters were billionaire Leslie Wexner and attorney Alan Dershowitz, no surprise there. The album also contained a letter from a now-deceased Harvard economist, one of Epstein's report cards from Mark Twain Junior High in Brooklyn, and a note from a former assistant that included an acrostic with Epstein's name. Jeffrey, oh Jeffrey, everyone loves you, fun in the sun, fun just for fun. Remember, don't forget me soon. Epstein, you rock, you are the best. Epstein was Wexner's money manager at the time. The longtime leader of Victoria's Secret wrote a short message that said, I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is. After the text was a line drawing of what appeared to be a woman's breasts. There's something about there's something very sinister about the juxtaposition between Epstein being, again, a pedophile child sex trafficker, right? And also all of these ultra wealthy, ultra powerful people giggling at like booby drawings. You know what I mean? There's like there's like a sinister moral conservatism to it where they can be committing these heinous crimes, but then they're like titillated by these juvenile, like schoolyard expressions of sexual interest. In a way, it makes it more sickening, I feel. Like, these are almost like, and you'll forgive me perhaps for reaching, these are people who, on a psychological level, seem like they would be satisfied by, like, a lap dance from a girl who looks like a Hooters waitress. And yet, there they are at Little St. James. Like, there's an incongruity there that seems, you know what I mean? It's weird. It's off-putting. It's very Patrick Bateman-y. It is. Sexually immature. Yeah, and performative. You know what I mean? It's very performative. Like, I have friends with whom I've had sex and with whom I've flirted. Here's your favorite thing for your birthday, a drawing of tits. What is this? What am I, 10? It doesn't, it's very like, it's very American Psycho. It's very, I know I keep bringing it up, but it's my closest frame. Like it's because Wolf of Wall Street, right? Where you have this like very wealthy, very powerful person who's very good at a specific kind of fucking people over. And then when it comes to sexuality, he has the mentality, like a juvenile mentality, because emotionally, like he's not intelligent at all. And obviously American Psycho is American Psycho. So, you know, you get that. Wexner declined to comment through a spokesperson. Wexner's spokesperson previously told the Journal the retail mogul severed all ties with Epstein in 2007 and never spoke with him again. Dershowitz's letter included a mock-up of a Vanity Unfair magazine cover with mock headlines such as "Who was Jack the Ripper? Was it Jeffrey Epstein?" Wow, Dershowitz putting the effort in. He's like collaging together, well, aren't they so mean to you in the press magazine cover for Epstein. He joked that he had convinced the magazine to change the focus of an article from Epstein to Bill Clinton. Dershowitz, who represented Epstein after his first arrest, said, "It's been a long time and I don't recall the content of what I may have written." The book was put together by a New York City bookbinder, Herbert Weitz, according to people who were involved in the process. Weitz, who died in 2020, listed Epstein as a client on his website in 2003. It isn't clear, hold on. It isn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. This is going to be rough to read. Voiceover. "There must be more to life than having everything," the note began. Donald says, "Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is." Jeffrey says, "Nor will I, since I already know what it is." Donald says, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey." Jeffrey says, "Yes, we do, come to think of it." Donald says, "Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that?" And Jeffrey says, "As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you." Donald says, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." I think you can read pretty much anything you want into that because it's incredibly weird. I think that it's incredibly easy to read this as we went to Little St. James and fuck kids together. Like that, like I feel like that's the easiest read if you wanted to. I don't really know. Very weird, sensual thing. Definitely not something you write to somebody if you haven't had a threesome with him. Enigmas never age. Yeah, Jesus. CNN has confirmed Trump has filed a libel lawsuit. When was this published? Oh, wow, this came out just a few minutes ago. Well, here's the thing. Wall Street Journal is not exactly unfamiliar with litigious threats. My thinking is, if the Wall Street Journal already sat Trump down and said, "Hey, we're going to publish this," and Trump said, "I'll sue you if you do," and then they went ahead and published it, my thinking is they were ready for the lawsuit and they're not worried, essentially. What's going to come out in discovery? The letter? How much information do they have on their hands? Like, I really don't think they're going to be bullied by a lawsuit here. Otherwise, like, why would they go through with it? What's your take on Murdoch? He controls the Wall Street Journal after all. Murdoch might not be as directly responsible for this because he's been taking more of a backseat to the direct operation of his companies, what with him being 500 years old. But also, he has had a rift before with Trump. It might be possible, like, this is a little bit like when Fox News stood against Trump. Okay, an important thing to understand is that Murdoch is not an oligarch, he's a corporatist. Well, okay, I should be clear. Ideologically, he stands with the corporatists. Murdoch is an oligarch definitionally, but he's not like Elon. He's not like Jeff Bezos. He doesn't want to be like the one guy who controls the government. He wants to be a financier and businessman who profits enormously from taking advantage of the institutions that already exist, you know? My guess is that Murdoch, to the extent that he's involved in this, might be dissatisfied with the amount that Trump is already wrecking the government and the economy, you know? I think that Murdoch is like a low taxes fascist, basically. Like, to him, all this fascism nonsense is just a way of getting the taxes as low as possible. Trump called the editor-in-chief of Wall Street Journal to shut this article down too. I think Wall Street Journal saw the clout this will cause, IMO, and finally did actual reporting. It'd be nice. But then Fox should be more anti-Trump. No? It's more complicated than that. It's Murdoch does not single-handedly pull the strings of the entire administration. The companies that Murdoch control. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people directly and indirectly involved in the propagation of content, and a lot of these people are public-facing. You know, you can't just make Sean Hannity or make Gutfeld or Jesse Waters or whatever instantly turn heel. What you can do is you can acknowledge a weakness in Trump's armor here, and you can kind of like poke at it a little bit, prod him, see how it goes. Wealthy, powerful people play games like this all the time. Keep in mind that the higher up in the ladder you are, the less likely you are to, in your private life, want to go along with everything Dear Leader is doing. In every fascist regime in history, there have been people alongside the leader who have gone, I don't know. I feel like I could do things better. I feel like I don't really like that so much. I'm going to poke a little bit. I'm going to prod. Sometimes it's a dangerous game. In this case, though, again, Murdoch is 5,000 years old. I don't think there are going to be any direct consequences to him. But that's just my guess. I'm not a mind reader. They went with it because they know it's authentic. Oh God, of course, absolutely. There's no way the Wall Street Journal would go through with this if they knew Trump was going to sue and they knew they would lose the lawsuit. There's no way. Trump is suing for libel, assault, and slander. And of course, he's filing in the federal court in South Florida, obviously. Love my legal system, dog. What I'm curious about, I really do wonder what their source is for this. There's no way that the Wall Street Journal has been sitting on this source for years and years and years. They were definitely given it sometime recently. My guess, somebody within the Justice Department, either a former member of the Justice Department or a current. They would never risk publishing this unless they could, if they wanted, to procure the document in discovery. It's Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell can provide that. This information would have gotten, it would have been, it's evidence. It would have been taken by the Justice Department. Ghislaine couldn't have verified the existence of that. Like, say Maxwell says it exists. Will you just go off her word? No, you need someone in the Justice Department, either the previous Justice Department or the existing one. Oh, fuck Elon. Elon's not in the Justice Department, guys. Maybe the judge who was just sacked. Not in the Justice Department. Guys, Justice Department, executive branch, DOJ, under Pam Bondi. Current or previous administration. That's where the evidence is collected. That or the FBI. But it's less likely to be the FBI because that's more active investigation, not held evidence. No, what if she had it in her possession? She didn't. They said earlier in this article that it was compiled as part of an earlier DOJ inquiry, but never made public. Among the documents examined by the Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed the pages, it's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. That suggests to me it might be a DOJ official from a previous administration, because one from the current administration would be able to confirm whether or not it had been included in a current review. Maybe. That's my guess. It sounds like they have a protected source. They definitely have a protected source. The fact that they brought Trump in on Tuesday to interview him beforehand. Oh my God, dude, that explains why Trump has been freaking out so much about the Epstein thing. The Wall Street Journal brought him in and said, hey, listen, we've got some crazy evidence on you. And he freaked out over it, then went to Truth Social and started posting about how everyone needs to move on. It was Tuesday evening. When did he post everyone needs to move on? Or like when did he say on Truth Social when he said You're no longer like a supporter of mine if you still care about this stuff. When was that? Yeah, that would have been right after. Also reported on the Wall Street Journal, updated July 16th, 2 days ago. So Tuesday night he was interviewed, Wednesday morning. Oh my God. I don't want their support anymore. Incredible. Literally. Yeah, the morning of Wednesday. Oh my God, dude. No wonder he was so upset. How is this stress not killing him? Honestly, yeah. Inshallah. Maybe that's why his ankles are ballooning. All the rage is pooling down there. Wow. Well, kind of cool to have the timeline laid out that cleanly. That's like with somebody as incapable of lying as Trump, that's a pretty like direct cause and effect, you know? Jesus. Perhaps we're lucky and he pops his clogs. I won't be satisfied until he has a public crash out and he says he was there and that he enjoyed it and everyone else would too. Trump has built his entire brand not off of respectability, but of owning his disrespectable elements. That's like literally from day one. He's not walked back from accusations that he's a bad person, that he's greedy, or that he's, you know, he wants this or wants that. For the most part, he just owns it and says, yeah, that's great. It's all good to do those things, you know? His entire life, his entire career, he's been this like bombastic, I'll own everything they throw at me kind of guy. This is the one subject he can't do it with. Probably frustrates him. Literally, like the grab him by the pussy thing. That was like from the day one. Any other politician would be like, nope, I love and respect women. But Trump just leans into it. Like every horrid thing that he does or says, it just adds to the notoriety that he clearly enjoys. And here finally, at the end of his life, in his second presidential term, after decades of it being public knowledge that he was friends with Epstein, we've arrived at a subject where he absolutely cannot just own it. I don't know. But what if he did? I mean, so let's see him try. We can find out. What if he does? Well, then what if he does? Good. Then you'll get a great news day is what you'll get. If he did, do you think it would genuinely fracture the MAGA base? The MAGA base is already getting pretty fractured right now, to be honest with you. It's already... right now, there's already a lot going on. Go on vacation? Well, I am moving soon. So that would do it, wouldn't it? That would be like that's sort of a forced stream blackout during which who knows what's going to happen. That should do it. That should do it. And we've seen them do this before. No, not like this. Too much momentum against Epstein. Also, the MAGA base are full of dumb animals who are just looking for good content, you know? Backing off on the Epstein stuff is bad content. There's just no way to frame that in a way that makes it look like good content. They mishandle it too badly, you know? These are losers with little going on in their lives that are just looking for something to oorah over. It's sports for them. So if you give them a bad play, they're going to be upset, not like on moral grounds more so, but like you failed them by not giving them the narrative they wanted. The Fallout is good content. That's true, but not in the way they're looking for, right? We'll see. We'll see. I gotta throw this one over to the editors. What's a good title? Trump threatens to sue Wall Street Journal after creepy birthday letter to Epstein published? I don't think that's too long that it doesn't fit in the full title. Yeah, hold on. Let me workshop this a second. Creepy birthday poem Fallout. Don't quit your day job. Okay, hold on. Will you shut up, man? Don Juan III with the 10 real. I believe you underestimated the grounding of Bolsonaro. The entire elite hate Bolsonaro right now. Lula popularity is going up. Every other politician is trying to distance themselves from Bolsonaro. I'm not sure what you mean. I haven't said that Bolsonaro is popular. I think that what we're seeing in Brazil is exactly what I wanted to see here in America, right? Which is, if there are actual political consequences for attempting an insurrection, the fascist will lose popularity, you know? Like, that's with Trump, there were massive social and political consequences after Jan 6 until it became clear that Biden wasn't going to do shit about him. Garland wasn't going to do shit about him. And after that, he started to climb back up, you know? But with Bolsonaro, they actually punished him. And as a consequence, he's a fucking hot potato. Nobody wants to hold him. Epstein testimony dropped. Oh, boy. DOJ moves to release grand jury testimony in Epstein case. This is going to be a nothing burger. If Pam Bondi is okay with releasing it, that means that it doesn't implicate Trump. The reason she's going to release it is because she's trying to throw, like, feed to the fish. She wouldn't release anything that damages Trump. She's trying to, like, throw people off the scent, basically. Think it'll satisfy the chuds? I mean, if anybody knows anything about grand jury investigations, then no, but most people don't. Or they know the judge won't allow it to be released. Well, it's the DOJ. They can do what they want. Vosh, AOC voted against cutting funding for Israel's missile defense programs. I'm aware of that. Why did you feel the need to repeat that twice in 10 seconds? The new Superman movie seems to be anti-Israel and pro-Palestine. You gonna talk about it? Dog, do you watch my stream? Fake ass cheddar. I saw the CNN poll saying MAGA doesn't care about the Epstein files. That's unlikely.
Complaints on. I mean, look, I think this one surprised me a bit because of all these complaints online going after Trump and the Epstein files. You might think his approval ratings were going down, Republicans. If anything, they're going up. Republicans who approve of Trump, look at our...
What? Oh, this is totally different. This is just approval ratings. Yeah, it's a cult. Obviously, they all approve of Trump. That's not... That's not what's being investigated here, right? Like the dissatisfaction with the handling of the Epstein files is widespread across the MAGA base. You know, it's not a matter of whether or not they like his association with Epstein. Most of them think that he's just poorly handling it for some reason. But this is no. I don't think this means anything. Do Christians believe in Christ? I'm sure some of them do. Yeah. I gotta piss real quick. Did you see Dem's approval rating is at a historic low? Do you watch my streams? Yes, I've seen. 1 second. There you go. Ugh. Bosch, there are some leftists who don't like Zaran discouraging globalize the Intifada stuff. Mountain 98 Eater, you're the same guy as before. Why do you keep why do you keep shoving your dick in my ass before you've bought me dinner? What the fuck you have to introduce a segment before you ask the pointed, weighted questions. New Superman movie seems to be anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. You got to talk about it. AOC voted against funding for Israel's missile defense programs. Hey, Mamdani has condemned the... What are you on about? You have to do a fucking... Don't you know how a segment works? I'm a YouTuber. You have to address a topic in a substantive little chunk so that when people want to see it, but they're not watching the stream live, you put it out as a segment. You can't just fastball me topic like we're doing 20 questions. So what is this? When asked about where Mamdani stands on the phrase globalize the Intifada, Mamdani said the distance between what some intend and what others hear is a bridge that is too far, and it is why he now discourages its use. I've thought about this quite a lot. For some New Yorkers, it's a phrase that refers to civil disobedience and protest and calls to end the occupation of Palestinian land. I was sitting with a rabbi not too long ago who told me the same phrase is heard very differently by her, and it's referred heard as a reference to bus bombings in Haifa, restaurant attacks in Jerusalem, and it engenders a fear in her and others the possibility of those very attacks coming home here in New York City. Mamdani said his movement is one for justice and equality and would bridge the gap between all New Yorkers by focusing on what has caused so much anguish in this moment. What offends so many in our city, this horror that is one that is subsidized by our country, he said. I heard not just about a desire for cheaper groceries and a cost of living that was easier to navigate, but for an end to our tax dollars going to the killing of children. Mamdani said of concerns share with him over the Israel-Hamas war. Okay. I on principle, I feel like he shouldn't back down because he never even said globalize the Intifada. He was just asked how he feels about the phrase, and he said he holds space for different meanings for different people and so on. But at the same time, this isn't exactly the kind of denunciation that makes it seem like he's selling out and turncoating, you know? Because the problem is that like all the people who have said that Mamdani wants to globalize the Intifada are still going to say that, right? Hakeem Jeffries has said that he hasn't endorsed Mamdani because he doesn't know him that well, and because he's concerned about statements like globalize the Intifada, which of course Mamdani never said, but they're still going to say that, right? If you show weakness, they'll start to pressure you and everything. It's globalize the Intifada, which she never said, and next it's going to be when you say, you know, BDS, to a lot of rabbis in New York City, you know, that actually speaks to them of the anti-Semitic practice of not attending Jewish-owned stores or something. Just some bullshit like that. You can't capitulate to the disingenuity. This whole thing has been disingenuous from the get-go, right? It would be one thing if Mamdani was like yelling from the rooftops, globalize the Intifada, which, by the way, from my perspective, is a relatively spicy slogan, okay? I think there are much better ways to advocate for Palestinian liberation than that phrase. That phrase seems to me like it's mostly like it's very controversial, it's very incisive, it makes you feel very woke when you say it. I don't think it's actually like, yeah, it's pretty LARPy. I don't think it's actually like doing much good. If he was screaming it from the rooftops and somebody was like, hey, can you dial it down? That's not the most effective way to advocate for your cause. And he said, okay, that'd be one thing. It is scary to the normies. It does frighten the hoes. That is true. That is true. It does frighten the hoes. But it was disingenuous from the get-go. He wasn't using this language. Now he discourages its use. Like, okay, whatever. Did this come out after he went to D.C.? After his primary win? Is that the context in which this is being discussed? Because I did see that when he won the primary and went to DC. By the way, when Eric Adams won the Democratic primary, he went and met with the president and the Speaker of the House. When Mamdani wins, he doesn't speak to any high-level White House officials or congressional officials. No high-level Democrats. And apparently Bernie Sanders, who, you know, agrees with Mamdani on quite a bit, Sanders, who is Jewish, really urged Mamdani to be cautious about how he approaches talking about Israel. That's fair, yeah, of course. Both are critics of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's handling of its war in Gaza. Ahead of the trip, Mamdani told business leaders in New York he would discourage the use of the phrase globalize the Intifada. Okay, so this was like right before he went over then. Mamdani, who has not used the phrase himself, thank you, CNN, for surprisingly not disingenuous framing there, has said he believes the phrase to be a rallying cry for Palestinian human rights and refused to condemn its use when asked during its primary campaign. Yeah, because it's fucking weird to ask a person to condemn language they themselves haven't used. Like, that's just weird, you know? It would be one thing if Mamdani was at a pro-Palestinian rally and everyone else was chanting, you know, globalize the Intifada or whatever, but you're just tossing the most controversial sounding slogans at him. You're just pitching the ones that'll scare the hoes the most to see how he, you know, how he bats. It's racist, kind of. Yeah, it's a little bit racist to go to the Muslim guy and be like, all right, here's a list of 372 slogans that people have said are anti-Semitic. Okay, how do you feel about Zionist-occupied government? Mamdani's like, I've never said that. I disavow. And they're like, okay, let's go through 971 more. It's like, dude, what if we stuck to the language that he uses? What if we stuck to the language that, you know, is like directly around him? Please rate them. But you really. You think that globalized the Intifada is better than Zionist-occupied government? Can you give us a 30-minute explanation for your position on this, Mamdani? Like, what? It's unwinnable. Sanders told Mamdani he had to do a better job explaining his criticism is not anti-Semitic. And not to let himself seem like he's minimizing the fear of Jews. I just don't think he's done this. But Bernie Sanders has spent a lifetime capitulating to the Democratic Party, so it's possible that at this point and at his age, you know, that he's just not... You gotta fight the Democrats too, man. It's not like they're being genuine when they throw this shit at you. They know they're lying. When Hakeem... Hold on. Where's that clip of Hakeem Jeffries being asked if he has endorsed Mamdani? Is this it? No, it's not this one.
From your meeting, provided it happens tomorrow with Assemblyman Mamdani, and on top of that, Republicans are certainly trying to cast him as a liability for Democrats. Do you see him as such?
We're going to have a very robust discussion in the event that we are able to proceed tomorrow, but at some point shortly thereafter, if we are not, about quality of life issues important to the people
Minority
that
House leader, by the way,
represent in the 8th Congressional District in New York, related to affordability, safety, and the ability to make sure that New York City remains a place that working families, middle-class folks, and all those who aspire to be part of the middle class can continue to call home. At the same period of time, I do look forward to having a conversation with our Democratic nominee about the importance of everyone being on the same page in terms of taking back control of the House of Representatives.
That's great. Thank you. No endorsement. Thank you. Thank you. They met today, by the way. And he still hasn't endorsed him. Jeffries will not endorse Zohran Mamdani. Like no matter, it doesn't matter how many times, like it's not about like fears of anti-Semitism or whatever else, okay? It's because he's a dog of the establishment, he's a dog of AIPAC, he's a dog of corporate media, and Mamdani is not. And that's it. That's it. That's the only reason why. And unfortunately, Bernie, like, you're not going to fight back against this. You're not going to fight back against this by, like, playing into the game and taking seriously all the bullshit idpol criticisms they throw forward. He's been asked so many times, over and over and over again, are you endorsing? Are you endorsing? It's always some bullshit answer. God, I hate looking at him. Following his trip to Washington.
Anybody that's staying out at this point instead of endorsing this incredible dynamic leader is missing an opportunity.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Here's what I was thinking of. This is from 3 days ago.
Your meeting with Zohran Mamdani, you have not endorsed him yet. What do you say to people who say, why are you not endorsing the guy that won the Democratic primary in a contested election in your backyard?
Well, I look forward to sitting down and talking to him. I didn't get involved in that primary election, and I don't know him well. We had a very good conversation.
Don't know him well. Didn't get involved in the primary election of the mayor of New York City, even though that's the state I represent. Haven't really talked to him. And then, wow, they met, they talked, and what a surprise, he's still not endorsing him.
The day after the primary, we agreed to meet, and so I'm looking forward to having that discussion on Friday.
Nothing happened. They had the discussion. No endorsement. Hate these fucking people, dude. They're just as much our enemies as the Republicans. If you're in a bar fight and one dude is punching the shit out of you, punching your face over and over, and there's a second guy who's not punching you, but he's just pinning your wrists down to the ground so you can't fight back, those people are both equally your enemy. They're both doing the same thing. They have taken different tasks, but they are united in the same objective, whether or not they know it. Even if the person who's holding your wrist down is trying to be well-intentioned with it. Oh, don't fight back. It'll make it worse. It doesn't matter. You know exactly what's going on here. Anyway, now to a real human.
Just learning skills from him, communication skills. It was not about whether we're supporting him or not.
I think he's a very personable, smart young man. And I hope we're not going to have a lot of circular firing squads.
House Democrats there after meeting with the newly minted Democratic nominee for mayor of New York. So
I really hope Mamdani inspires some of these people to start pushing back against Schumer and Jeffries, man.
Mamdani, the self-declared Democratic socialist who topped Andrew Cuomo last month.
Yes,
for a Democratic Party that's struggling to find its footing after losing power completely in November. Mamdani, one of the most high-profile and polarizing figures to appear on the national stage. Our next guest knows a thing or two about electing Democrats, and he writes this about Mamdani recently, quote, "America doesn't necessarily go the way of the Big Apple. The New Jersey gubernatorial primary and the lack of one in Virginia will prove more informative for Democrats' fortunes in 2026 and 20.
Yeah, don't look at New York City, okay? New York City is famously not representative of the rest of the country, you know? It's kind of like a monoculture ethno-state. It doesn't really, it's not really like a broad base, right? Now, the New Jersey gubernatorial primary
28. And Rahm Emanuel joins us now. He's the former mayor of Chicago. He served as President Obama's chief of staff. He was recently ambassador to Japan in the Biden administration. He also is a CNN senior political and global affairs analyst. And like I said,
Rahm Emanuel is a massive piece of shit. Yeah, obviously, look at his face. As always, evil people make themselves known to you, okay? The devil will reveal the mark of the beast. Before they invented phrenology, they thought it would be numbers, okay? It's actually facial structure. Can't you tell?
Worked on electing Democrats to the House way back in the day. Sir, I'm very happy to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I want to start with where kind of Democrats are, big picture, because some of these new poll numbers are really tough for Democrats. The approval ratings are really low, and it's someone like Zohran Mamdani that is front and center. Do you think the party embracing someone like him in this national way is a recipe for success?
No, I think that the Democrats, when they're currently more unpopular than they ever have been in the entire history of the party, should keep doing what they're doing now, and definitely shouldn't stand behind the champion of every value they pretend to have, who is much more popular than they are.
Well, let me, first of all, you cited a poll that CNN put out today. It shows a very energized Democratic Party, way over energized than the Republican Party. And it also shows that independents are breaking almost 2-to-1 for the Democrats.
What poll?
So I think that's a very telling sign. I do think the New Jersey and Virginia governor's races are more indicative both about the candidate we recruited, their message, and what it will mean to 2020.
Candidate we recruited, by the way. Take note of the language. They're specifically pushing back against the fact that they don't control Mamdani. They want like stooges in these positions, so there's no real pushback against the establishment line.
2026 and 2028, both women are moderates who come out of the national security kind of pool of candidates that we.
Oh, that's great. We love that. Moderates. Oh, but they're women because we have to use IDPOL to mask for our ideological weaknesses, you know?
Have in the past.
What,
and I think
Slotkin?
that's where you're going to see, I think, something that gives you a floodlight into the future. And second, as it relates to the...
he said women weird, because to people like him, a person being a woman is like a tick that you get to sign off next to their name to convince voters to vote for them. They don't believe in anything. It's all just IDPOL. It's just cynical IDPOL to them, you know?
Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City. as I think I said, as it relates to national elections, I'm more interested in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan than I am the Upper West Side of Manhattan. But you'd be foolish not to see or pay attention to his focus on the cost of living issues. As somebody who said the American dream is unaffordable and that is unacceptable to us, that is where our focus should be. It used to be when you and I were growing up. If you worked hard, you could get ahead. Today, if you work hard, you run in place and you go nowhere fast and just break a sweat. He focused on something. Now, I don't agree with his
broken clock? Not broken clock. Every politician since time immemorial has promised to lower prices. The difference with Mamdani is that he's explained how he'll do it, and it involves challenging the landlords. That's the reason why he's different. But for Democrats, they never deliver on these promises. The most you get is like a fiddly bureaucrat, like a little tax break, a tax rebate. It doesn't amount to anything substantial. But, you know, a politician saying we have a cost of living crisis, that's every politician, every state, all the time. Nobody would say otherwise.
Grocery stores, city-run grocery stores, you know, city government has a tough time running trains on time, let alone a grocery store or free buses. But his critique of the problem...
Why could a government not run free buses? What about the buses being free makes them more difficult to run? It's a bus. It's pretty simple. You drive a large car along a route and you stop every couple blocks. Is that really beyond us? Oh, the government can't handle stuff like that. What? Like, listen, in the same breath, he says, the cost of living is too high, things are unaffordable, but also cheaper groceries, free bus rides, ridiculous. Fantasies cooked up by a socialist lunatic. Let's focus on the real world here, where the bus costs $3.25, groceries continue to raise in price by 8% every year, except for when inflation spikes, and then it goes up by 22%. And then we can start talking about real solutions to economic inequality, like a $3,000 tax break for a couple's first child.
He's not wrong. His solution to that analysis is where I have a disagreement. But as it relates to politics, New Jersey and Virginia are far more significant and far more revealing about what the future beholds if we run the right type of candidate with the right type of message.
So let's dig into those poll numbers because, as you mentioned, Democratic enthusiasm among Democratic voters.
Don't free buses basically pay for themselves? Providing free or extremely subsidized public transportation pays for itself because the ability for people to move around freely makes jobs and patronizing businesses much more easy and accessible. It makes bus lines not like an uncomfortable little commute option for people who don't have a car, but instead a real viable form of public transit. More people use them to get around, so areas near bus stops get a lot more traffic, both for shopping and like for people who want to work there. It accelerates the economy. It's one of the reasons we don't have toll roads everywhere. We make roads free at the point of service because it would really imagine how much harder it would be to get around and take advantage of the opportunities in your city if every time you reached a crosswalk you had like to pay a little toll. The only reason we subsidize cars and roads but not buses and trains is because we have a car-centric society. There's no reason it has to be that way.
To get to the polls is in fact off the charts in our poll. I think we can put up that screen with those numbers. However, the party itself, right? And so there it is. 72% of Democrats strongly motivated to vote in the midterms.
Oh, that's the poll. That was the poll Rahm Emanuel was citing as evidence that Democrats don't actually hate their own party, that they're motivated to vote in the midterms. Have you considered they're motivated to vote in the midterms because they want to vote your ass out?
60% of the Republicans are strongly motivated to vote. But even Democrats are saying they're really unhappy with the Democratic Party. And that is different than what we saw in 2018, right? The same period after Trump was elected the first time, where Democrats were extremely motivated, but they were also fine with the party. What does that tell you?
Well, look, let me say one thing. When you have
I'm paid to be a stooge for corporate interests. I'm not here to answer questions, you stupid bitch.
One party control both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue, which you have here. You have lessons of history from 1994, where the Democrats lost the House and the Senate. You have lessons from 2006. You have lessons from 2010 for President Obama. You have 2018 for President Trump. So there's a physics to this. Energized opposition, independents break 2-1 for the opposition, and dejected incumbent party voters. Your poll shows exactly that paradigm is playing out at this moment. Now, the brand of the party not good. Energize voters, that's more important. Every election,
Listen, it doesn't matter that the party is more unpopular than it ever has been in the entire history of the party. Literally the entire over a century-long history of the Democratic Party. For as long as polling has been done, it has never been this unpopular. But that doesn't matter, okay? What matters is that I'm choosing to interpret high voter turnout energy as a sign of support for the party, despite all evidence to the contrary.
And primary since 2024 has shown an incredible energy by the Democratic base voters. Independents dissatisfied with Republicans, and Republican voters actually also dissatisfied with their Republicans.
Man, these people, the Democratic Party is a machine to turn reasonable socialists into Brianna Joy Gray, man. It is so difficult to not like look at this and not see the contempt that they hold you in and go like, fuck it, I'm completely like I'm allowing cynicism to take over like the symbiote over Spider-Man's suit. You know, I'm going to like, my new political position is, my new pronouns are fuck/Democrats. I'm not voting in any election. If Trump wins a third term, it'll be funny. That's my position, and we deserve it because, you know, we allowed the Democrats to metastasize to the point where a Trump could win a third term. That's my, like, it's so difficult. But you got to remember, for one, you have to temper your own emotions, but you also have to remember these Democrats, Rahm Emanuel, Hakeem Jeffries, whatever, they hate you more than the Republicans do. The Republicans think that your opposition is amusing, but for the most part, they just think it's a fun game to get away with as much as they can. The Democrats despise you. They despise you more than you could imagine. They are so contemptuous. Not all of them, but key players like Rahm Emanuel. You know what I saw recently? A big protege of Schumer, Anthony Weiner, the guy who got ousted from Congress because of a sexting scandal, then went on to have another sexting scandal, then went on to have found to have sexted a minor. That Anthony Weiner, he did a Adam Friedland show, which I've watched through. And one thing which I recommend you watch, recommend you watch that specific episode with Mr. Weiner and Mr. Friedland, because because seeing a disgraced former protege of Schumer, it's really, really obvious one thing, how much contempt he holds for the audience of the show. Not because it's Friedland's audience, but because it's an audience of voters. It's so, like, who has watched that episode and agrees with me? Mr. Weiner held the viewers of that episode in obscene contempt, like the poison dripping from his mouth with every word. He thought little of their intelligence, of their motivations, of their interests. And I don't think it was because he's a disgraced, former, Democratic upper, former protege of Schumer. I think it's because he was taught that by Schumer. I think Schumer would be like that too. I think Schumer would be like that if he was cut out of the political game and was just doing a podcast circuit. They hate you more than you could imagine. They despise you. Rahm Emanuel fucking despises you, okay? You could have a beer, you could go play games with somebody like Hannity. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't fucking care. It's a job to him. He might hate you in like a broad abstract way, but interpersonally, he's just here to be evil and have fun, okay? Fucking Hannity, Tucker, Trump. This isn't the case with all Republicans, by the way. I don't think you could have a beer with Stephen Miller, with Carolyn Levitt. Maybe with Lutnick. But with people like Rahm Emanuel, and pardon me for holding them to a higher standard, okay? You could not with these people. They fucking hate you. They hate you, and they hate Mamdani. They hate Mamdani because he's a representation of the fact that you can get ahead in this game without turning into a hollow, soulless void.
Two other points I would make that I think are relevant in this case. One of the things that your poll also showed is that nobody wants an untethered, unhinged Donald Trump, which is why the message should be about a rubber stamp Republican Congress, because they want a check.
That's great. Okay, that's enough. No, I can't stand over and over and over again listening to political, being talked down to and provided political advice from people who just keep losing. Like over and over, they just keep embarrassingly losing, like the most unpopular the party's ever been. And I have to sit here and listen to these fucking people condescend to me. No idea what they're doing. Or, well, more likely they know what they're doing isn't effective, but it doesn't matter. Has he been drinking? No, Rahm Emanuel just talks like that. Blind faith to checks and balances is gone. Yerp. But it doesn't matter because they don't fucking care. They don't care. Gotta get worse before it gets better. Can we go get soft serve after the stream? You know, I had some phenomenal gelato recently from the Fainting Goat over in Seattle. It was really overpriced, but my rule with overpriced shit is as long as it's good, I don't really give a fuck, right? Like, as long as it's high quality. Oh, speaking of, really quick, before we do one more segment. I know. Look at this fucking robe I got, dude. I love this shit. Isn't the fabric beautiful? I wanted a super light, airy robe, you know, for just like chilling. I love the, like, I don't know what you call it. It's like, it looks like, what do you call it? Like the rocks in Arizona, the mesa, you know what I mean? The where you see the stripes on the side. It looks more like my grandma's bathrobes than Heritage menswear. Well, that's Heritage clothing. Robes are very woman-coded now, but they weren't always. Also, robes just fucking rock. Sedimentary rocks. Maybe that's right, yeah. It's so loose and flowy. Look at that. I love that shit. All right. Oh, Jesus, fuck, man. I woke up with such a crick in my neck. As soon as I end stream, I'm putting a heating pad on it. Ugh. That was an audible pop. It always is. Warm bath? Who takes baths anymore? You guys bathing? I've been showering. You know, I haven't had a bath in so long. Once a week. I'm just too tall for my bath. Unfortunately, I need like a larger than normal sized bath to be comfortable. Otherwise, like, everything from a nips up or out of the water, you know? My neck certainly isn't in the water. Get a better bath? I rent. Bend your knees, my dude. I don't know. That shit isn't relaxing, dude. If you're trying to relax in a bath and you want to slouch down enough that your neck is submerged in the water, you have to have your knees bent, like basically with your calves touching your legs, you know? And that's just not very relaxing. Then your whole legs are like cold out in the air. No. No, I don't believe in that woke nonsense. Yeah, you need to be able to stretch. Why don't you bend them horizontally? What the fuck are you talking about, bend them horizontally? If you're laying on your back in the tub and you can't fit your legs in there, or your head, depending on which end, you know, you have to bend your knees are pointed up. Lay on your side, idiot. Why would I do that? Also, that's awful. So rather than like laying relaxed with your head partially submerged, like the back of your head, you've got like one ear in the water and you're like napping or what? No. You people are being ridiculous, okay? Maybe some of you people are short cells and for you it's no big deal, but don't try to condescend to me. You don't know my struggle, okay? You don't understand how difficult it is to be me and not have a gigantic bathtub. What am I looking at? Oh, man. Venezuela releases 10 jailed Americans in deal that frees migrants deported to El Salvador by United States. When the Associated Press says Americans, do they mean American citizens or just American immigrants? Huh. Whoever they have lying around. I don't know how many Americans Venezuela's holding. I am so fucking excited to get more information on the lawsuit that Trump is filing against the Wall Street Journal. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, man. The discovery for that would be incredible. They would drop the lawsuit then. I just wonder what the Wall Street Journal's game plan is, you know? It feels like it could be a pretty serious blow to the administration. I think it's going to be a nothing burger as always. You know, I don't actually agree. I feel like the Wall Street Journal would only do this if they really wanted to deliver a knockout punch. Like, they released the article, which makes Trump look pretty fucking bad. Pretty goddamn bad. And they did so after Trump threatened to sue them. You know? It makes me wonder if there was something a little extortionary there, except that wasn't listed in the lawsuit, because they brought Trump in on Tuesday night to talk with him about this. It makes me wonder if somebody at the Wall Street Journal, if they said, you know, hey, this is a pretty nice article. It'd be a shame if somebody published it, you know, want to do something for us? But I doubt they would do that. Blackmailing the president would actually be pretty ballsy. Pretty ballsy. It'd be pretty ballsy. It just makes me wonder what the game plan is here. If the game plan isn't to fuck over Trump, I just, you know, I don't know. Exclusive inside Home Depot raid in California by Border Patrol.
There is no sanctuary city. Sacramento is not a sanctuary city. The state of California is not a sanctuary state. There is no sanctuary anywhere.
So now there's a raid.
It's not how this works.
On this Home Depot in California's capital city of Sacramento. Look at the video there through the windshield. Driving that point home from the comment you heard about a sanctuary city. Fox was there exclusively as it all went down, and Bill Malusian joins us now live in Sacramento. What you see, Bill, what you hear. Hello to you.
And Bill, good morning to you as well. With illegal crossings at the southern border at the lowest levels in recorded history, that has freed up Border Patrol resources to come and help ICE with interior immigration enforcement. And we joined a Border Patrol California strike team as they came right here to Sacramento and carried out.
Is Trump actually demanding for the Epstein files to be unsealed? No. He's asking for the grand jury deposition against Epstein for the previous trial, which will not reveal any interesting information.
An operation. We'll get right into that video. Take a look at this. As soon as we pulled up to a local Home Depot out here, suspected illegal immigrants started taking off running in all directions pretty much as soon as they saw those federal agents pull up. That immediately led to several foot pursuits with agents chasing these men down. Border Patrol tells us they ended up arresting 11 illegal aliens at this one Home Depot parking lot. Several of them had criminal histories and prior deportations. More on that in a moment, but we want to show you this. Take a look at this. They also chased down and arrested this U.S. citizen, the guy in the black hat, after agents say he slashed the tire on one of their vehicles. You'll see them pursue him. He goes to the ground, entangles with agents on the ground, then appears to lunge at one of those agents. Well, that ended up causing him to get maced in the face. Take a look at the aftermath of this. I snapped this photo as I came across the scene here.
Honestly, impressive that he's able to keep his eyes open and hold frame like this after getting maced that heavily.
You see him with mace in his face. He was arrested for impeding federal agents, according to Border Patrol. His wife was there screaming that he's a U.S. citizen. Agents said, well, too bad. He slashed the tire on our car. He's coming with us today, and we do have photos of that slashed tire. Take a look at this. You can see the puncture mark or the slash there, and then the deflated tire. Border Patrol having to drive that vehicle off on its rims. In the meantime, we talked to the Border Patrol chief who organized this whole operation. Last week, Governor Newsom mocked him and called him a tough guy. So right here on the steps of the Capitol, I asked him to respond to Governor Newsom. Take a listen.
If it's going after
Trump, I am a tough guy. Urgh. Do you think they could have chosen a camera angle that doesn't make this guy look like he's 4 feet tall? Like, considering the nature of the insult being directed against him?
Molesters and kidnappers, and that makes me a tough guy, and rescuing children from forced labor and that type of thing, then I'm guilty as by God charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as by God charged. You know that it's possible to not be allowed into a police academy because your IQ is too high? Like there are multiple documented cases of police departments. I know it's Border Patrol, but same fucking diff. No, you're too smart and willful. You can't be a cop.
If making Ma and Pa America a safer place, if that
Ma and Pa America a safer place
makes me a tough guy, guilty as charged.
Guilty. Yes, sir.
So, Bill, I talked to Border Patrol, and the initial records checks on the guys they arrested came back. Here's what they have. One of them was a Mexican national who's an aggravated felon with a prior conviction for fentanyl trafficking. And listen to this. He's been arrested in California 67 times since 1986.
Damn, that's crazy. I don't know, man. Sounds like he's pretty powerful. That's like a high-level operative right there. We need stuff like that in this country. Nobody's willing to work these days, except for that guy.
There was another, a previously deported Guatemalan aggravated felon, a previously deported Mexican national with a prior arrest for driving without a license, and a Guatemalan with a previous removal in 2009 with a prior arrest for trespassing and failure to provide ID. Bill?
Okay, so one actual criminal, and then nobody else was actually, like, really a criminal. Gotcha.
Those were just random guys standing around at a Home Depot here in the sanctuary state of California yesterday.
So, Bill, wasn't there a federal judge in L.A. that tried to block the Trump administration from doing raids like this?
There were. That was Judge Frimpong in Los Angeles. But the thing is, her ruling only applies to the Central District of California, which is 7 counties in Southern California.
Yeah, no more federal injunctions, it seems. I'm honestly surprised that, like, the DHS fellas haven't gotten hurt yet. You guys see this clip? This one's actually crazy. Here, I'll read it first. ICE abruptly stops car in middle of road, pulls out gun or taser, and rushes to confront woman driver. Agents know exactly who the woman is, a well-known activist who's been filming ICE for weeks. Look at this. Very dramatic slowdown. Lower them. Dude, what? I know I have some European viewers, but I need you guys to understand that every American with a gun is basically like scenarios that you are taught on practical self-defense, you know, like quick drawing, are pretty much all taught on a guy who looks exactly like this doing the exact thing that he's doing right here, you know? Like this is literally like if you were doing some kind of holodeck situation for which the median American gun owner was being trained on the most appropriate situation in which to mag dump, this would be it. And anyways, I started blasting. This is like it's right here. Fucking masked guy, unmarked car, wearing civilian clothes, pulls in front of you, blocks you in traffic, walks towards you, draws gun from pants. Like, this is the most... I want to see somebody bring this to Congress. I want to see, like, Democrats need to be showboating with this more, because the Democrats, you know, they're pussies, right? They'll say, oh, I shouldn't wear masks. Well, they shouldn't, right? But you need to bring this video to Congress. You need to bring it to the media, and you need to say, what would you do if you saw this happen right in front of you? Unmarked civilian car pulls in front of you, guy in a mask, no identifying nothing, just a guy pulls out, draws gun from waistband. What would you do? Because in America, in every state, the law is very clear on what you would get to do right here. Now, whether or not, in a practical sense, the law would end up favoring you is another thing entirely. But in the abstract, in this situation right here, the law is exceedingly clear. Stand your ground? Nope. It's not required. It's not a requirement to stand your ground. Stand your ground means you don't have an obligation to retreat from your position in situations where you could conceivably do so. You're in your car. Stand your ground doesn't apply. This is a credible threat. A person's drawing a firearm at you in a very threatening situation. They've pulled in front of you and stopped their car. This is not like a Florida-only kind of dealio.
Turn open the window right now. Open the window. Open the window.
If you know who I am, then why the fuck are you telling me to open the window? And why the hell are you fucking pointing a fucking taser at me if you know who I am? Okay, and you guys follow everyone. Everyone. You guys stalk people all the fucking time.
It's honestly a fucking miracle nothing's happened yet. And obviously, as soon as something does happen, you know, they're going to pass a new law in Congress. Every Democrat will vote for it, and it'll be like the Lake and Riley Act. It'll be called like the Chud Childfucker Act, or whatever the name of the dipshit ICE agent that gets gunned down would be. And it would be like, from now on, it is always legal for ICE to kill you no matter what. And yeah, the Democrats will tearily pass it. She's insanely brave. Well, she's an activist, you know, but like, this is just menacing a U.S. citizen. Is this castle doctrine, duty to retreat or stand your ground? Don't just throw terms at me. This is it's not any of that. It's reasonable self-defense, a credible threat, a weapon drawn. That's all it takes. It's America. Like, if you can't respond to this by drawing or driving the car forward, then in what situation are you allowed to do that? Genuine question. Like, in what are you? What's the legal purpose of self-defense if this scene right here does not merit it? Do you have to wait until after the bullet has passed cleanly through your skull? So what was her crime? I missed something. Her crime was being an activist who documents ICE agents. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Well, you don't know that the moment it happens, right? Peony snake wings? You only know after. Like, I don't think that's really defensible in court. Did they think there was a traffic infraction? They're ICE. They don't handle traffic infractions. They stopped her because she is anti-ICE. That's it. It's just Gestapo shit. Oh, there's another video here.
They're gonna arrest you for no reason. I have it on video. Everything's on video. He didn't do anything.
Somebody earlier said brave or white. I'm going with brave and not white based on the accent. Pardon me for my racism. Incredibly brave woman.
There's your local ICE agent and that Dodge Durango in the Oregon license plate. Hi. I'm doing fine. I'm not doing anything. 100%. He knows who I am. They know who I am too. They can give you my...
Yes, they literally just pulled in front of her and menaced her and drew a weapon on her for no reason other than because she's filming them, which is legal to do. I really hope California goes through with the anti-federal agent masking bill. Senate Bill 627. They're not going to be as willing to do ICE raids in California if they're not legally allowed to wear masks. But the question is, will police officers enforce it? Because if federal agents keep wearing masks, they're now violating the law. Like that would need to be enforced.
Masked with no clear way to identify
over faces. ICE agents involved in recent high-profile detainment operations have been wearing those masks. ICE says it's about safety for their agents, but bills in the California legislature and in Congress aim to force agents to take those masks off. NBC Bay Area's Damien Trujillo explains one of those bills moved a step closer to law today.
Some officers say banning the masks puts the agents' safety in danger, but opponents say those federal agents need to stop operating like the drug cartels. Many of the agents in the recent immigration raids look like this, masked with no clear way to identify them or the specific federal agency they work for. Tonight, there is a growing push for that to change.
The point is cruelty, the point is terror, and we are going to call it for what it is.
Father John Pedigo is director of the community group PACT and the Catholic priest. Father John says these images, heavily armed men in tactical outfits and masks, are right out of the drug cartel playbook. And he says he sees the fear in the eyes of his parishioners every week.
It is heartbreaking to hear what they're feeling and their experience of what it...
I mean, a closer parallel would be the Klan. The reason the Klan hooded wasn't to hide from the police. It was because they were the police, and they had to maintain like a plausible deniability where they could still be like arbiters of the law during the day, but then do lynchings at night. Like that was a line they wanted to keep from crossing because it protected them on both sides of the line, you know? I mean, at the end of the day, like these people are operating like criminals, yeah, but it goes beyond that. It's keeping them from wearing masks is just one step, but it's a big one, and there's a reason they're so desperate to keep those masks on.
Does to their family life.
Senate Bill 627 prohibits law enforcement at all levels.
Hello, Scott Wiener.
From engaging in extreme masking.
State Senator Scott
Extreme masking.
Wiener has now introduced a bill that would bar law enforcement from wearing masks to conceal their identity. And today, the bill was passed by a key legislative committee.
You should be able to know the difference about whether that person is a law enforcement officer or whether they're a guy with a ski mask robbing a liquor store.
The bill does include exceptions, like an officer working undercover or during a riot or a SWAT team operation.
Yeah, the problem then, of course, is that it's always going to be a riot. It's always going to be a SWAT team operation, or they're always going to be undercover, right?
But opponents, including some who represent California law enforcement, say it could do more harm than good.
Like, why not just target the DHS specifically? You can do that through law. You could just say, like, if you don't, the DHS isn't doing fucking deep cover operations. They're not doing riot control, or at least they shouldn't be. That's not their job. They're here for immigration enforcement. So just give them no exceptions.
Our officers are part of this bill. We are being swept into this issue when we do not want to enforce immigration, and we have been publicly clear about it.
As a state bill makes its way through Sacramento, a similar federal bill introduced by Senators Alex Padilla and Cory Booker got new support today from California Attorney General Rob Bonta. It's an effort that has caught the attention and the criticism of President Trump.
They want to require CBP and ICE officers to have legible IDs, and they don't want CBP or ICE officers covering their faces.
Well, they wouldn't be saying that if they didn't hate our country.
Not only do we love America, but we love keeping Americans safe.
A new battle in a larger fight over what...
This toothless rhetoric is exactly why this isn't going to work in a federal level. You need to use fear, okay? The fear is legitimate. Oh, we love America. We're trying to protect... No, 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 no. Show this. Hold up a car. Hold up a 3-second GIF of this guy emerging from the car, no ID, drawing from his waistband, and say, we're trying to protect you from this. These deranged freaks, these lunatics, these Gestapo agents sent by President Trump are here to ruin your communities and kill you with impunity. Just say it. You get me. Dude, my neck hurts so fucking much. I need to read... I'm gonna read donos just because I want to, like, put the fucking neck heating pad on, man. I want to put the heating pad for the neck on so my neck stops hurting. By the way, you know the main Fox News channel still hasn't put out anything that acknowledges the Wall Street Journal article? Reading donos so early. Shut the fuck up. I'm busy. I'm doing personal stuff right now. I'm prepping for a move. I have to get all my clothes into boxes. Oh. Fox News did have this, though. Falling in line. The left's new obsession. This shit is not going to work, man. It's not going to work. Yeah, I hope they keep trying, though. It's incredibly tone-deaf. All right. You better upgrade that stream room. I like my stream background, personally. Miss Gender Lynn, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you. And Janemba, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. I love duckies, thank you for the $5. I hate Jimmy Fallon's face as well. Loquacious Lobotomite, thank you for the very kind tier 1 sub. Dog. What a cartoon ass looking dog face. Look at that. Beep. What a good boy. For always looking wacky. Ooh. Who's doggy? Loquacious Lobotomite. Beautiful. Regal. Regal and handsome. Visinovich, thank you for the $5. Hey, Vosh, started watching you in 2020 while in high school. Now, after 5 years of your streams, I finally got my political science bachelor's. Nice! Well done! Congratulations. Yeah, you put the work in. And you did it in spite of watching my content, which has only sapped your intelligence and energy that entire time. Very impressive, you know? Peony Snake Wings, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. SamFan155, thank you for the $10. Dick and Balls, I agree completely. Logan New, thanks the $5. A second Herman Miller hit the crib, total cost $30. Nice! Good on you for the finding a steal, you know? That's real good. Snow with a very kind $15. Take my money, funny man, and observe what I drew before even watching the new Superman movie. Take the hope pill, chat. Hey, looking good. Nice color theory. You know, and you can pay attention to this when you watch the movie. James Gunn broke with Snyder and very deliberately avoided doing any kind of visual Christ allegories with Superman, which I personally appreciated quite a bit. Very much as man. Alloy, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Hope you enjoyed your CSU orientation. Thank you, thank you. I am one of the streamers of all time. Genderless, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Kirikyo, thank you for the $5. I mentioned the other day I was making tacos from scratch. They were delicious. Wow, no kidding. That looks fantastic. I wish my autistic ass enjoyed eating pico de gallo because it would really add a lot to the flavor of the tacos that I eat. I gotta force myself to start liking fruits and vegetables, man. I'm in my 30s now. There are gonna start being consequences soon. It's literally just an autism thing. It's just a texture thing. Fucking cilantro, though, dude. I don't mind cilantro at all. That's not my issue. Drink smoothies, that's all you need. Yeah, that does fix the texture issue. Kappa of all time, thank you for the $10. Should I go straight to Dark Souls 3 as an Elden Ring player or start from the beginning at the first Dark Souls, then play 2 and 3 afterwards? Buddy, you should play what you play. Dark Souls 1 plays very different to 2 and 3. Dark Souls 3 feels a lot like Elden Ring, except without a jump. But I think the Dark Souls 1 is a piece of gaming history and is very high quality. Definitely don't play Dark Souls 3 and then 1, okay? Like, play Dark Souls 1, and in your head, you're playing an entirely new game. Don't think of it as an extension of Elden Ring, okay? You're going way back to the past. In Dark Souls 1, you're going back, you're going to be so much clunkier and slower, and you got to get used to that, and you build up with speed, you know? You get your adaptability or whatever in Dark Souls 2, and in Dark Souls 3, you're zipping around, and Elden Ring, you're zipping around even more. Me personally, I wish the games were more like Dark Souls 1. I wish they were slower. Not easier. I like the difficulty. But I wish that they were a bit more ponderous. There are a lot of fights in Elden Ring where the objectively correct way to deal with a fight mechanically is to roll 18 times in a row, hit once, and then roll 17 times in a row. And I think it'd be nice if there was more, like, you had to be more deliberate with the direction and, like, roll, pause, roll, beat, hit, roll, stamina reach, like make the stamina come back slower, make the direction matter. Maybe make the roll distance a little longer so you can play around more with what it means to roll. Up the iframes, but increase the stamina cost. You know? Like make it more ponderous. Sounds like Monster Hunter? No. Good Faith Goblin, thank you for the tier 1 sub, much appreciated. Thready and Iron Pond, thank you for the $5 both. Do you have a favorite character from Justice League Unlimited? A question. Enjoy Superman in 3D. Let us know how it is, Thready. Maybe I'll see it in 3D too, despite not generally liking that format. What about Sekiro? The rhythm of fights are impeccable. Yeah, but Sekiro is a totally different kind of game. Sekiro is parry dependent. Dark Souls is roll dependent, you know? And I think that parrying, by its nature, both visually and mechanically, works better with a quick flurry of parries that you have to navigate around with an occasional dodge thrown in. Whereas with Dark Souls and Elden Ring, rolls are the main way you avoid damage. And I think that oftentimes the roll direction, and oftentimes even the roll, like, timing doesn't matter that much. You just have to, like, be twitchy with it. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I want it to be more ponderous. Like, Manus of the Abyss is a pretty tough fight in Dark Souls 1, you know? In spite of the game moving much slower. I think that Manus is significantly more difficult than many of the much faster fights in Elden Ring. The difficulty comes from the precision of the rolls and the careful timing, and the fact that they play with your visual information. The arena is so dark, it's sometimes difficult to know what the fuck is about to hit you. You can tell if you pay attention, but it is a little bit more difficult. And sometimes the difficulty in the Elden Ring, not just Elden Ring, but Elden Ring, you know, specifically, is not very fun. The twin gargoyle fights that keep you from getting to the Lake of Rot, that's not a fun fight. It's just not. And honestly, you know what? Are we all mature enough to understand this? The twin Godskin duo, not a fun fight. It's just not. Listen, is it doable? Yes. Can it be managed? Yes. Is it impossible? No. Is it fun? No. It's not interesting to fight, in my opinion. There's nothing new there, and oftentimes the way the mechanics interact, it's just you try to get one hit in on one of them, and then the other guy hits you from the other side of the arena, or you're not looking at it. You know, I don't think it's very fun. It's not about difficulty. You know what's really fun and very difficult? Millennia, right? Though I do think her waterfowl dance is bullshit. Not because it's impossible. I learned how to dodge it, no hit, from a standing still start, soul level 1 or rune level 1. So I could, you dodge forward and slightly to the, you run around her so that her first dash goes past you, and then you turn and roll into her as her second dash goes through you, and then you do 2 more rolls to get the third. No, I know how to do it, okay? I just don't, I think it's unfun to have a fight where the difficulty of the encounter comes down to how many times she waterfowl dances. If she waterfowl dances once and you manage to survive it, you just potion through it, the rest of the fight's pretty doable. If she waterfowl dances 6 times, the fight's probably not going to get won, even if you know how to do the dodges properly, because all you have to take is fuck up. You just have to fuck up once and then it's over. I just don't think that's fun. I like Dead Cells combat. I think Mesmer and Godfrey are perfect fights. Godfrey is a perfect fight. Mesmer is a perfect fight. Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah. Pita bread with the $5. Pita bread or white bread? Also, any book recommendations? Book recommendations? I don't fucking know. Maybe go read House of Leaves so you can finish it before me. Pita bread is like always better than white bread, but you can't make a PB&J with pita bread, or at least you probably shouldn't. So I don't know. Kind of depends on the situation. Simric, thank you for the $5. I am not naming the Trump letter video Trump/Epstein Yowie letter leaked. Sorry. Good Faith Goblin, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Sake, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs in classic Sake fashion, providing a YouTube short, my literal least favorite kind of link, because there's no way to open it without it auto-playing. Thank you, as always, Sake, for your consistency and tenacity, no matter how many times I discourage you from doing this. Voshite urban planning theory is spreading.
These are both suburban neighborhoods built right next
I do love this channel, though.
To each other, but they couldn't be more different. To show you what I mean, let's try getting pizza, and we'll start with this neighborhood. Right away, you'll notice the continuous tree-lined sidewalks that make it an inviting place for people to walk. This is because vehicle access to these homes happens from alleys placed behind the houses. Because of this, the actual street doesn't need a driveway for each house's garage, allowing the street to focus on people. In fact, some front porches open up to a lawn instead. With a focus on public green space, it allows for trails that create shortcuts for people walking around the neighborhood too. Finally, and most importantly, you'll notice that this neighborhood actually has businesses in it too, not just houses. Part of the reason this works is because there are different types of housing in this neighborhood, like townhouses, duplexes, and traditional single-family homes. This mix provides a level of density that allows for enough people to be within walking distance of these businesses.
Man, that's
one
pretty.
of which is a pizza place, and they're all placed right on the street, creating a sense of place rather than just plopped into a parking lot. And for the people who do want to drive to it, they still have parking placed behind the building. This entire journey was safe and comfortable to walk, and also provided opportunities to naturally interact with your neighbors, whether that's waving hi to people sitting on their porches or walking through the park. Now let's try getting pizza in this neighborhood. First off, there aren't any pizza places, just houses, which means we'll have to find one in a nearby suburban shopping center. There's a Domino's not too far, but the infrastructure to walk doesn't exist. There are no sidewalks, and there's even signs at the intersection leaving the neighborhood telling you not to walk. So instead, we'll have to drive. You'll notice this neighborhood has driveways that cut into the sidewalk for every house. And instead of encountering people sitting on the front porch, you just encounter other cars sitting in driveways. After we exit the neighborhood, we have to drive on this huge suburban road before turning across 4 lanes of traffic to finally get into this shopping center with the Domino's. Some of the other businesses here do have outdoor seating, but they all just face the parking lot. While this is the typical suburban experience around the country, it doesn't have to be. It's possible to build quaint, walkable neighborhoods even in the suburbs.
Fucking hate this country, man. Jesus Christ. Sake, rare praise. It was a good video. Thank you. Crusader1, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Hey Vosh, I started watching your videos after I was recommended to you from a friend. You've been a huge motivation for me to improve myself and my life. Hey, I really appreciate you you telling me that. I'm really happy that I could benefit your life in any way, you know? I'm glad the dick joke sunk in. Seriously, thank you. It's always really sweet. It's my favorite part of doing this, you know? Always means a lot. I'm sorry, I'm being slowed down from the dono reading because my neck hurts so fucking much. You know what really pisses me off too? My neck felt great when I woke up at 7 a.m. Went to take a piss, laid down some more, woke up, it was 11 a.m. My neck hurt. Classic, 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 classic. Mood Scoot with the $5. Check out the Orient Bambino series for a good starter watch. Good quality, affordable. I've heard about the Orient Bambino, yeah. And tons of color strap styles to suit any vibe. I might do that. Maybe it'd be nice to start with like a not $800 watch, you know? Maybe. Orient Bambino. Prolegomeno, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Potential game stream after you move. Prega, also good luck with the move. That shit's always stressful. My hope is that after I settle in, after the move, it'll lead to an increase in my productivity because I'll be able to kind of streamline my life. Get the stuff I need to get done completed faster so that I have more emotional and physical energy for streaming. Because streaming is obviously not physically difficult work, but it is a little emotional being outwardly presentative all the time, right? Even if I do it in little short bursts, but you guys probably get tired after you've talked for 15 minutes introducing yourself to everyone at a house party who you didn't know, right? Obviously different, but it does take a bit of, it does take some energy. So I'm hoping to streamline it a bit. Thank you, Perlegoman, with the 5 tier 1 subs. Perlegomeno, sorry. Will you introduce yourself to people you don't know? Yeah, if you're going to a house party and you know the person who invited you, usually that person introduces you to other people. Unless you're the +1, usually the host of the house party is like, yeah, and here's my friend from college, you know? Like that sort of thing. I mean, not everyone, right? But Lamal Vosh, people don't introduce people, lol. Why would you try to condescend to me on something that A, I know you're wrong about, and B, makes it look like you don't know how house parties play out? Has it occurred to you that perhaps the house parties that you've been to are the ones that like early college students or like high schoolers have been to? Or maybe your only memory of a house party is from high school, where nobody does introduce you to other people because everyone's just supposed to show up there and get their, cheap beer out of a red plastic cup. Meanwhile, the house parties that I've been to might be a little more reflective of my age or perhaps my, social standing in some communities. So maybe there's a bit of networking going on there. People invite me in and they say, hey, here's this person, here's that person, It's good to know people. Like, why condescend to me? I mean, you do it all the time. Condescend to people? Yeah, but I'm the streamer and you're the viewer. If you're networking, it's not a party. That's just, I'm sorry, that's just not true. That's just not true, man. That's not how that works. Oh my god, dude, fuck. Ugh. TRLS, thank you for the $5. Hey Vosh, I'm currently in detox, getting off alcohol. Your streams help me through it. We need people clear-headed in these trying times. Hey, good luck. Good luck. I actually know somebody who's detoxing off weed right now. Probably not as severe and serious as detoxing off alcohol, but nonetheless, I know how difficult it can be and how much it fucks with your mood and emotions. So keep it up, okay? You'll look back on your victory here, you know, maybe for the rest of your life if you do it right. So keep it up. Yeah, especially in this climate. DeQueen, thank you for the tier 4 sub. Very kind of you. Not even a message attached, you know, just being generous for the sake of being generous. Who am I to complain? Thank you. Sorry, my neck fucking hurts, man. Vincent Ciravo, thank you for the $2. Really appreciate that. Scott Mueller, high shelf and still alive. Thank you for the $5 all. Really appreciate that. Yeah, John Oliver does provide very good political commentary. I have no hate to him. Except for, like, the jokes. I don't like the jokes. Hashtag 5050, thank you for the $2. No, I did not see how sketchy Cohen was on Don Lemon's show. I don't like Don Lemon at all. Don Juan III, thank you for the 10 real. Also, Meta versus Brazil with WhatsApp Pay, where Brazil government made a free directed instant payment protocol that anyone, any bank can use, and Trump said it's unfair because the U.S. is getting no money from these. Yeah, it makes sense. No national sovereignty if it cuts, you know, if it gets in the way of corporate profits. American foreign policy has been like that for a long time. Random, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Could you please debate Stephen Kenneth Bonnell in Israel-Palestine? You're the best man for the job, and he said you and Hassan wouldn't. He was correct. I appreciate the $20, but my God, you've got, like, you're pitching me the most intolerable. Listen, let him have fun piloting drones over Rafah or whatever, okay? I'm not getting involved in this. I'd have to cut him a bigger paycheck than the IDF. Wolfs, thank you for the $10. Hi, have you heard of AOC? No, never heard of her. Pale Magpie, thank you for the very kind £10. If winning the Democratic primary doesn't result in the... I just want to say, I really do think it compromises the dignity of the situation to continue to engage in this debate slop. It's like Jubilee, right? Nobody actually gives a fuck about arriving at a correct conclusion, you know? You can literally see for years now a live stream genocide, you know, IDF soldiers bragging to a camera, holding up the dresses of little girls, bragging about how many houses they've leveled, and we're supposed to engage in what, this phony pretense of a debate? Is it happening? Is it not? Is it anti-Semitic to say it's a genocide? Is it not? There are objective answers to these things, you know? Why you have to go to clown school and debate every guy riding a unicycle in order to prove the validity? Whose minds are being changed on this? It's just content. It's entertainment to people. And frankly, I don't find the subject very entertaining. It's one of the reasons I don't cover it so much, you know? You all know my position on what's going on in Gaza, what's going on with Israel. I feel it important to go over it from time to time if there's any new information, but, you know, for the most part, it feels like it's kind of a settled question, you know? Pale Magpie with the £10. If winning the Democratic primary doesn't result in the party endorsement, then what's the point of the primary? Not endorsing the winner makes the Dems illegitimate as a political entity? Yeah. Yep, it looks pretty bad. Years and years of moderate browbeating of progressives that they have to vote blue no matter who, and then when a lefty gets the primary nomination, a bunch of moderate Democrats go, ooh, I don't know about that one, Chief. Incredible stuff, really. Truly. High Shelf with the 5. I love Henry Cavill will never forgive Warner Brothers for wasting such a perfect opportunity. Hey, he can come back as Zod in the new DC universe, okay? Tim Christer, thank you for the 5. The New Jersey governor primary would have gone to Baraka if there was ranked choice voting. Spiller split Baraka's vote share. Maybe. Maybe. Jacob Pulicht, thank you for the $2. Happy to hear you enjoyed Superman. Good-ass movie. I'm a big fan. Ghost of Avalon, Diego B. and Tempest, thank you for the $5 all. What are your thoughts on scarves? I don't like my neck being constricted, but I think they're very pretty. Yeah, big fall vibes. Big fall vibes. You put Puerto Rico in the title, didn't even talk about it. You're baiting me, bro. Totally forgot I put Puerto Rico in the title. Totally forgot. Let me get an article up so I can remember next... so I can remember next stream. It's not good news anyway. You wouldn't like it. JD Myrtleman, thank you for the 10 Canadian. Loved Superman. Just bought advanced ticks for the Odyssey and IMAX 70mm. Only 364 days away. Love the show. Love the road. Buy a pipe and a full martini glass in your set. I don't smoke. I don't drink either. Afraid it'll just have to be the robe, I think. Thank you, though. Los, thank you for the $10. Vosh, you're the man. Keep doing what you do. I'll try in spite of any neck pain, you know? I'll try my best. Oh my goodness, you guys, I have to go. Ori, thank you for the incredibly kind 50-pound dono. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Fuck, I joined at the end of stream. Just got back from work to find the UK is banning most education about trans people in schools. Not that I was taught anything anyway. Had to find it out on my own. I only left school a couple years ago. Yeah, it's a bit of a virtue signal, right? Like, it's a conservative virtue signal. No one's learning about transgender people from schools anyway. You know, that's not where that information is coming from. It's from going online and watching, like, video game speed runs of N64 classics, and that's how you learn about trans people. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty embarrassing. Thank you very much for the dono. I appreciate that. Joel Tira, thank you for the $10. I think we should make a point of calling the Florida Detention Center Gator Gitmo rather than Alcatraz for how bad Alcatraz was. It was a legal prison for convicted criminals with due process. I'm sorry, but they were cooking with alligator Alcatraz. There's no getting in the face of that. I mean, the name is the name, you know. I don't feel that like a semantic position, because then you'll say, well, I'm calling it Gator Gitmo because it's illegal. You know, it's you'd spend more time talking about your justifications than you would making arguments against it. I'd rather just poison the name they chose, right? Just my opinion. Ori, thanks to the £5 additional. Watching U.S. political chaos to distract from my own crumbling country. We're both going down together, okay? The sun never sets on the, you know, Anglo partnership. Wolfs, thank you for the $20. Good luck on the move, gamer. Moving sucks. Yeah, I think this one won't be too difficult, though. We're staying in city, and frankly, I don't own that much. Mostly my beautiful partner who has to move stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It shouldn't interfere with my work too much. Memory Suit, thank you for the $2. Buy neck rub. I mean, I just need that heating pad thing. Oliver Weeding, thank you for the 5 AUD. Saw Superman today. Can't believe it got me to cry. I can believe it. I was teary at points. Did not have that. Did not have money on that, so I'm giving it to you. I appreciate that, yeah. No, it was very emotionally powerful. Joe Clem, 15, thank you for the $10. Roasted veggies and lettuce wraps are great ways to eat your veggies. I fucking hate lettuce, dude. It's like no nutrition. You're just getting water, but with crunch. I hate that. Hate that. No. I mean, maybe some roasted veggies. I like it when you roast broccoli until it's just black, and then you salt it. I like it. I like that. Spinach? Spinach is different from lettuce. Lone Drow, thank you for the $10. I'm about 1,000 hours into my first Elden Ring playthrough. That's a lot of hours. What is your favorite colossal weapon, and why is it Blade's Royal Greatsword? I actually don't like colossal weapons because I think the standardization of all colossal weapons to be most effective when jump R2ing kind of like reduces their enjoyment to me, you know? I don't like that. Yeah, no matter how slow the weapon is, all of them feel the same. Where it's you jump, cool, you jump, cool, and it made them like it's like the best way to use them, you know. Also, is the DLC worth it? The DLC is absolutely worth it. I highly recommend the DLC. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Someone mentioned it to me while I was getting groceries the other day. Romulus, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Hey Vosh, girlfriend and I are both preparing to enter active duty. We both enjoy listening to your videos. Don't do anything I wouldn't do out there. Stay safe. Wherever you are and whatever military you're enlisting with, it better not be the fucking IDF. Admiral Kizaru, thank you for the $5. Hey Vosh, clocks are large watches, so consider buying yourself a Herman Miller clock. I'll consider it, my friend. That sounds expensive. Good Faith Goblin, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. How will one meet them where they're at if one doesn't know where they're coming from? I have no idea what you're referring to. Stridency, thank you for the $5. My point earlier was that younger and younger people are more and more socially awkward and borderline incapable. Not a boomer take, I see it in my own demo. Yeah, I've noticed that with young people as well. It's just, I'm not in that camp because I'm pogged up to the gills. You know, also I'm a late millennial, you know, I'm not a zoomer. I'm also pushing 50, that's right. Yeah, I'm an elder. I'm an unk, as they like to say. But no, it is true. It is true. A lot of the younger people watching are terminally lonely. They're virgins. They suck. They're losers. But I believe you can be better, okay? I believe you can be better. Ravenger, thank you for the incredibly kind $50 donation over on my site. You did it both. You did it on the site and you did it on YouTube. Moving sucks. Please accept a good luck tip. Hope it all goes smoothly. Shit, yeah. I think it will go smoothly. I have faith. We're not going to move the studio stuff the same day as everything else. You know, everything else, that'll be a different time. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. Covering the cost of any, you know, any dings to the U-Haul, which hopefully don't happen. All right, folks, I got to skedaddle and put a heating pad on my neck. Everyone take care. Drink up. Water, nothing else. Not breaking any detoxing. And I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully at a regular time, not at like 1:03 p.m. PT, you know? All right, take care.